Chapter 437. Everyone be careful. It's Wuji Immortal Palace's ultimate concealment technique. But no wonder this brat dared to come out on his own. Kill him first. No matter what, we have to kill this brat. When Soul Fighter saw the fear in everyone's eyes, he made up his mind and roared directly into the communication device. If Qin Hao escaped this time, then the chances of finding and killing Qin Hao again would be very slim. The reason was simple. In the world of cultivation, aside from irreconcilable grudges such as the destruction of sects and clans, cultivators of all levels were restricted by the rules of the world of cultivation. Experts above the deity level could not attack those in the blessed realm. If Qin Hao, who was half-stepped to the blessed realm, was already so strong, what would happen if he stepped into the blessed realm? A hidden expert can't be that strong. Otherwise, why would he ambush us? Moreover, he's attacking those who are alone. Every team, gather together quickly and kill that brat's clone. Soul Fighter said coldly when he saw that everyone was still hesitating. Alright. Hiss. Rumble. Rumble. At that moment the group finally stopped hiding their auras and began to attack violently. They closed in on Qin Hao's clone as fast as lightning. Be careful. Follow me. There were only 2 people left in the team. The late-stage Blessed Realm expert who led the team cautiously said to the middle-stage Blessed Realm expert with a gloomy expression. Yes, cold sweat dripped down the middle-stage Blessed Realm expert's forehead. He could not hide the fear on his face even if he wanted to. He was extremely nervous, afraid that in the next moment he would become the target of the expert who was hiding in the surroundings. An imperceptible breeze drifted to the right of Qin Hao's clone, who was the closest to the 2-man team. Phew, Qin Hao, who was hidden in the world, let out a long sigh. Then he took a deep breath. His aura was completely restrained at that moment. However, his mind had completely fused with every wisp of energy in his body. He was like a coiled dragon. It was fine if he did not move, but once he moved, it would definitely be an earth-shattering attack. Peak of the late stage of Blessed Realm. If I can kill him in one strike, then it's naturally good. If I can't, then I can only run. These few attacks have already consumed more than half of my true essence, but if I want to escape it shouldn't be a problem. Qin Hao's eyes were like a venomous snake, staring at the 2 people who were quickly approaching. Die brat. Chi 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 chi. Almost at the same time, Qin Hao's 5 doppelgangers were suddenly attacked by the number 1 experts of the 5 groups. They knew very well that since someone was hiding in the surroundings, Qin Hao would have sent out a call for help long ago if he wanted to. No matter what, in their opinion, this was going to be a difficult battle. Moreover, how many hidden experts did the other side have? This was not something they could have predicted. However, just as Soul Fighter had said, it would not be very strong. Otherwise, why not just start a war? Therefore, at this moment, their only goal was to use the most violent and powerful attack to kill Qin Hao in one strike. Regardless of whether it was the clone or the main body. Once they did this, it would be time for them to quickly leave. They did not have the guts to compete with an expert who was hiding in the surroundings. The enemy was in the dark while they were out in the open. It was really unwise. Ah? Hiss hiss hiss. At this moment Qin Hao's 5 doppelgangers suddenly turned into 5 rays of light at the same time, as if they had disappeared into thin air. Soul Fighter, who was guarding the center like a national treasure, was extremely shocked when he saw Qin Hao's doppelgangers disappear. After all, according to his judgment, the doppelgangers in the middle were most likely Qin Hao's main body. But now they had disappeared into thin air. What did this mean? It meant that these were really Qin Hao's doppelgangers and not the main body. But at this moment the 2 groups were even more terrified. The Blessed Realm expert had launched his strongest attack at Qin Hao's doppelgangers, but Qin Hao's doppelgangers had disappeared into thin air. This was more or less what he had expected. After all, the doppelgangers that he was dealing with were not real. What really frightened him was the fierce and extremely condensed attack that suddenly came from the side. At this moment, his hair stood on end, and the energy around his body surged out with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Boom! A terrifying explosion suddenly sounded. A figure was like a shooting star that streaked across the sky, disappearing in a flash. The moment he disappeared, he spat out a mouthful of blood and even sent several flying monsters at the late primordial soul realm flying. The expert at the peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm was also sent flying by the terrifying energy. A hole that was twice the size of a fist appeared beside his heart, and blood gushed out like a fountain. This was the first time he had been so close to death. If he had not been on high alert, the bloody hole would not have been beside his heart, but his heart. This was the result of him madly activating all his energy to defend himself in the face of death. He believed that even if they were to face each other head-on, such a fierce and condensed attack would still be able to severely injure him, let alone a sneak attack. The two most fatal parts of a cultivator were the head and the heart. The head was a fatal blow, but the heart depended on the situation. If the heart was completely destroyed in an instant, even a deity would find it difficult to save him, unless he had the undying bloodline like Chen Hao. Kill him. It's that brat, it's definitely that brat. Boom, boom, boom. Figures quickly charged toward Chen Hao, who had only revealed himself for an instant. Unfortunately, they were too far away. There were hundreds of miles between them, and there was also a dense horde of monsters. No matter how fast they were, how fast could they be? Chen Hao was also severely injured. If it were not for the fact that the mid-stage Blessed Realm expert did not dare to attack, Chen Hao would definitely have been forced to reveal himself. But now, Chen Hao had taken advantage of the fact that the heavily injured Peak Blessed Realm expert had yet to catch his breath to disappear into the horde of monsters. Chen Hao endured the churning of his organs and swam through the horde of monsters like a fish. Then he worked together with the old god and Ito Ta to attack at the same time. Ito Ta possessed a monster at the late stage of the Essence Soul realm and made it his temporary safe haven. Moreover, he did not dare to move too violently. He controlled the monster and followed the horde of monsters in a rather hidden manner to approach the supply station. Phew. What a pity. If I had attacked the Peak Blessed Realm expert from the beginning, I would have definitely succeeded. Chen Hao brought out a mutated immortal fruit that was worth cities from the monster's body and swallowed it. But I didn't dare to do this at the beginning. Being able to do this is already beyond my expectations. Chen Hao had just stepped into the half-step to Blessed Realm, and he could only truly verify his assessment of his strength through battle. If he had attacked the Peak Blessed Realm expert at the beginning, he would have succeeded. But at that time he did not dare to act recklessly. He could only start from the weakest. In the end, when he had no choice but to expose himself, he tried to attack the Peak Blessed Realm expert. Unfortunately, due to his high vigilance, he was a little too slow and did not succeed. Moreover, the power of a Peak Blessed Realm expert was not something Chen Hao could face head-on. 2 in the early stage of the Blessed Realm, 3 in the middle stage of the Blessed Realm, and 2 in the late stage of the Blessed Realm. That's not bad, right? Soul Fighter is lucky. If he had not been surrounded and protected in the middle, he would have definitely killed this brat first. Chen Hao circulated his true origin to heal his injuries, as he thought to himself. At the same time, he used his powerful soul perception to sense the movements of Soul Fighter and the others. What made him feel slightly at ease, but also slightly disappointed, was that the group of people only killed a few monsters nearby before they gathered together. They did not care about killing the monsters and headed in the direction of the supply station. Obviously, they were frightened by Chen Hao's sneak attack. When they passed by the area where Chen Hao was hiding, Chen Hao really had the urge to attack again, but he had no choice but to suppress it. Not to mention that he was already injured. Even if he was in peak condition, he would not be able to escape even if he could kill one or even a few of them. Using his own life to exchange for the lives of a few dogs? How could he do such an idiotic thing? Ha! Kill them. Kill them all. At the foot of the city wall, Proud Heaven's Guardian group, which had been the focus of countless people's attention, soon became lazy because of Chen Hao's departure. The speed at which they killed monsters also decreased greatly, which puzzled many people. All of them seemed to be in a daze and no one knew what they were thinking. But when Chen Hao escaped into a monster's body and began to heal his injuries, all of them suddenly became energetic and in high spirits. Damn it, these beasts dare to make an enemy out of us? Die, die, die. One by one they shouted excitedly and attacked violently. 7 of them, who were only half-stepped to the manifestation realm, had killed 7 of the enemy's experts. Even the last expert, who was at the peak of the late primordial spirit realm, almost died. How could this group of people not be excited by such a terrifying battle record? Jiang Hai and Huang Wenxu broke out in cold sweat. They were glad that they had made a wise decision. If they had stubbornly gone against Chen Hao, they would not even know how they died. Realms were all fleeting clouds. Who would have thought that a half-step to the manifestation realm could kill someone at the late primordial spirit realm or even at the peak of the late primordial spirit realm? and the other party was a genius disciple of the limitless demon palace. At least Jiang Hai and Huang Wenxiu had never heard of anyone in the limitless immortal palace who had this ability. What? When Soul Fighter and the others were about 300 miles away from the city wall, Fan Suixin, who had been waiting impatiently on the city wall, suddenly changed his expression when he saw Soul Fighter and the others. 7 people are missing. Do we have to sacrifice 7 people to kill that kid? Among this group of people, Fan Suixin only had a special connection with Soul Fighter. He had always been able to determine how deep Soul Fighter and the others had gone. But as for what exactly had happened, even he, an Earth Immortal, could not sense it due to the interference of the seal of the supply station and the aura of the beast tide. But when he sensed that Soul Fighter had gone 500 miles, he concluded that he could kill Chen Hao. But he did not expect that it would take so long, and even more unexpected that 7 people had not returned. What did it mean if they had not returned? It meant that they had died. Chapter 438. Trash. What a bunch of trash. There are so many experts, but 7 of them were sacrificed just to deal with that kid. 2 of them are at the late stage of the manifestation realm. How can that kid be so strong? They must have underestimated him. Fan Suixin did not know that if he walked out of the VIP area on the city wall and looked back at the ranking pagoda tablet, he would be so angry that he would vomit blood. Phew. On the city wall, Meng Yichong, who had been busy receiving the immortal venerables, heaved a long sigh of relief when he saw Soul Fighter and the rest approaching the city wall. This kid is really incredible. Although I don't know how he did it, it's a miracle that he killed 7 people who are far above him. Meng Yichong was slightly excited. He was always paying attention to the names on the pagoda tablet. None of the dead people could escape his eyes. Soul Fighter and the rest had returned with their faces covered in dust. 7 of their names had disappeared from the pagoda tablet, but Chen Hao's name was still flashing on the tablet. With such talent and combat strength, we should definitely report this to the headquarters. Not long after Soul Fighter and the rest arrived at the city wall, a figure came out from the depths of the beast tide. The power that erupted from the figure was not strong, and the secret technique that he used was also very simple. However, the efficiency of this figure was terrifying. Every time he used a simple technique, a beast would fall. There was no exception. Trash. A bunch of trash. Crack. Bang. There was no need for Soul Fighter and the rest to report. Fan Suixin, who was sitting in the VIP room on the city wall, had the teacup in his hand turned into powder. The tea table in front of him was also turned into a cup. 7 people are dead, but this kid is still alive. How is this possible? Boss, come out with me later, Chen Hao said directly when he returned to the team. His body was stained with blood. Some of it belonged to the beasts and some belonged to him. However, his injuries were nothing to him at the moment. However, the current battle was meaningless to him. Moreover, he needed to recover to his peak state to prepare for the next wave of challenges from Soul Fighter and the rest. After killing so many of their people, how could they possibly let the matter rest? Letting them train their tenacity was just an excuse, especially for Huyan Aobo and the others. In this 1 year, under his brilliance, they were not lacking in ruthlessness and determination. Especially after experiencing this life and death crisis, each and every one of them had astonishing gains. Of course, Chen Hao had his own reasons for calling everyone back. After the supply point protection barrier was activated, Chen Hao led everyone back to the supply station. Soul Fighter and the others also flew into the supply depot with ugly expressions on their faces. Apart from the looks in their eyes that made them want to strangle Chen Hao to death, they couldn't even let out a fart. They had to be prepared to be scolded by Fan Wuxin. Boss, you are really too powerful. Hee hee. After returning to the palace, Huyan Aobo and the others immediately praised him excitedly. I was just lucky. In a one-on-one fight, I can barely fight against a master in the late stage of the manifestation realm. But if it's a sneak attack, even a master at the peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm won't be able to escape from me. However, as long as they are not idiots, I definitely won't have such a chance next time. Boss, Heartbroken Palace lost more than 20 genius disciples this time. Not to mention Soul Fighter, even their palace master Fan Suixin won't let us go. I think it's better to tell Venerable Immortal Han Mei and Venerable Immortal Yun Wei about this. Just this time they sent so many masters. If we rely on ourselves, I'm afraid we won't be able to train in the future. Huang Wenxiu said. Would their palace master Fan Suixing dare to attack us? Qin Hao frowned. That won't happen. But masters in the manifestation realm won't be a problem. This time there were 30 of them. After knowing your strength, how many will they send next time? With the limitless demon palace's methods, they will definitely do everything they can to get back at you. If you all join our limitless immortal palace and train in the designated places, we won't be afraid of them. What I mean is, if we want to train freely in the future, I'm afraid we can't. Don't worry. They are only in the manifestation realm. As long as we all reach the manifestation realm, I don't believe they can take us down. We just have to endure for a while. Alright, next we have to increase our strength with all our strength. This beast tide will last for at least a month. Originally, if our realms hadn't increased, the first 10 days would be more suitable for us to train. But now we have to wait for at least 10 days before our battlefield. So there are still 8 days left. Let's train with all our strength. I can feel that after going through the life and death crisis, all of us have gained a lot. Have you all not fully digested it? Qin Hao casually changed the topic. Yes. I have faint signs of breaking through to half-step to manifestation realm. I can feel that I only need to train for a few days to break through. Huyan Aobo said. I've never felt it so clearly before. Meng Xiao said. Cough cough. Looks like everyone has gained a lot. Thought I was the best. That's strange. Could it be because of our blood oath? Bailey Lianqing said. It should be. The blood oath will connect our luck. We did it under the threat of life and death. None of us have any selfish motives. The effect should be better. Of course, for all of us to be like this, a large part of it should be because of boss, right? First King said. This boss influence is definitely there. There's also one more thing. I feel like we've entered the legendary demonic realm. Jiang Hai said at this moment. That's right. It should be the demonic realm. Huang Wenshu said. Both of them were direct disciples of the limitless immortal palace. Their knowledge was definitely much better than Huyan Aobo and the others. Demonic realm? Qin Hao frowned slightly. The demonic berserk realm is an opportunity that is even rarer than enlightenment. It can only appear under the constant pressure of life and death situations. We've only heard Master talk about it occasionally. Once you enter this realm, your soul, body, state of mind, will and so on will all receive astonishing improvements. I only need to cultivate for a while more and I'll be able to trigger the divine punishment. Jiang Hai, who was already half a step to the manifestation realm, said. Me too. At most 2 or 3 months. Huang Wenshu said. I'm about the same. Qin Shui said softly. That should be it. Hearing Jiang Hai's words, Qin Hao thought for a while and said, all right, let's all cultivate. We'll start again in 8 days. What you're doing is very dangerous. After stepping into the cultivation room, Qin Shui came to the wall that Qin Hao had pierced through and said. Qin Hao quickly expanded the hole in the wall and went directly to Qin Shui's side. He held Qin Shui's waist and said, what's the danger? Don't be like this. Qin Shui hurriedly pushed Qin Hao away. What are you afraid of? Did anyone Qin Hao held Qin Shui firmly. Qin Shui's face was flushed red and her expression was very strange. If you're not in danger, I'll feel better. But what about them? They don't have carving techniques. If they're surrounded, how can they escape? How can they escape? A late-stage manifestation realm expert is not someone they can fight against. Qin Shui said with a red face. She stopped struggling and did not dare to look at Qin Hao. Little Shui, you're a little strange today. What are you afraid of? Only with pressure will we have motivation. We just need to. Not everyone can be like you. You're simply fooling around. You want to hide such a big thing from me? Hiss hiss, oh mother. Qin Hao was suddenly embarrassed. He did not expect that Venerable Han Mei would come at this time and under such circumstances. Qin Hao felt like he was caught in the act. The hole in the wall was too eye-catching. Qin Shui lowered her head and pushed Qin Hao away. Her face was flushed red. Although she was shy, she did not seem to be surprised. Only at this time did Qin Hao vaguely understand why Qin Shui was a little strange. If you want their good, then leave it all to me. Your road is destined to be lonely. Venerable Han Mei looked straight at Qin Hao and said, that's right. Hiss. At this time, what made Qin Hao even more embarrassed was that Venerable Yun Wei suddenly appeared. Qin Hao was depressed. Damn it, Venerable Yun Wei is too shameless. She doesn't even leave me any privacy. Fortunately it was only a hole today. If it was when I did that with little Shui, it would be terrible. Of course, Qin Shui seemed to know that Venerable Han Mei was coming, so that kind of situation would not happen. However, Qin Hao could not figure out why Qin Shui hid it from him. Little guy, you're a little biased. Venerable Yun Wei had a smile on her face as she looked at the hole in the wall and said, my 3 precious disciples have just met you. You don't even know how to be intimate with them. Cough cough. Qin Hao coughed awkwardly. How could he not understand the meaning behind Venerable Yun Wei's words? Venerable Yun Wei, this is not the time to be sentimental. I understand. This little guy's path is indeed destined to be lonely. As for your brothers and sisters, let me and Han Mei Immortal Venerable take turns to take care of them for you. Taking them with you, 1 is restricting yourself and 2 is putting them in danger. With your talent, even my 3 precious disciples. And little Shui, they can't catch up to you. That's right. Although Venerable Han Mei was unhappy with Venerable Yun Wei's arrival, she could only choose to compromise and said, it's okay if you care about them. You can come and see them from time to time. If you really want to be with them, it's not good for you and them. Without you they will develop better, but with you they might die prematurely. Chapter 439. Ahem, your growth is destined to be filled with endless troubles because of your character and your luck. And your troubles are not something that they can face with you. At least now is not the time. They won't agree. Qin Hao said. They will agree. Xiao Shui, what do you think? Qin Shui nodded and stared at Qin Hao. Mother and Immortal Reverend Yun Wei are right. We will wait for you to reach the peak. Qin Shui's voice became softer and softer until it became a voice transmission. Me and them will be your cultivation companions. Although she was very shy, her beautiful eyes were staring straight at Qin Hao. Although the word cultivation companions was very soft, it revealed an incomparable firmness. This was the decision that Qin Shui made when she saw that Qin Hao was going to fight against 30 Creation Realm experts alone. Why did she risk her life to pass the level? It was so that she could be with Qin Hao. But when they were really together, she suddenly realized that the distance between her and Qin Hao had not shrunk but increased. She thought of what her mother had said to her. Perhaps it was true. Under Qin Hao's halo their growth would definitely be fast, but it would inevitably affect Qin Hao. Moreover, their growth trajectory would also be affected by Qin Hao and completely changed. This was not what she wanted. Especially after Helian Wuxia and the other 2 arrived, she felt that she had lost herself. In fact, Helian Wuxia and the others had the same feeling. But I have. Qin Hao frowned and said, but he was interrupted again. No buts. It's settled. Xiaoyan and the other 2 will be fine. This time they are only here to meet you. I can't let them follow you. Immortal Reverend Yun Wei said. Xiao Shui can talk to the others. There won't be a problem. Immortal Reverend Han Mei said. Qin Hao still wanted to say something, but in the face of the overbearing of the 2 Immortal Reverends, he hesitated for a moment and finally chose to compromise. While Qin Hao and the others were in a state of cultivation, Soul Fighter and the others had their heads lowered as they endured Fan Suixin's spittle and scolding in a huge palace in the depths of the residential complex. The old man was fuming with anger. He was someone who cared about his reputation the most. 17 of Soul Fighter's 18 men had already made him vomit blood. This time he had personally arranged for so many experts in the manifestation realm, but he had lost 7 of them. Moreover, 2 of them were in the late stage of the manifestation realm. With such a huge loss, even he, the palace master, would not be able to explain it to the limitless demon palace. How could he not be angry? Trash. I'm so angry. Tell me what's going on. Soul Fighter and the others, who were as silent as cicadas in winter, only dared to make a sound when they heard Fan Suixin's words. They looked at each other and in the end, it was Soul Fighter who told them what had happened. This time, even though Soul Fighter was very unwilling, he could only tell them everything about Qin Hao's abnormal and terrifying strength. When Fan Suixin heard that Qin Hao could manipulate the manifestation realm monsters to confuse them, and that he could make the peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm disciples unable to sense his concealment, his expression became extremely ugly. In particular, when the severely injured peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm disciple said that Qin Hao's attack power was so strong that even he would be injured if he faced it head-on, he was even more shocked. A half-step to the manifestation realm cultivator has such abnormal strength. Fan Suixin paced back and forth with a gloomy face. After a full half a minute he suddenly looked at Soul Fighter and the others and said, "If we didn't offend him at the beginning, it would have been fine. But now that things have come to this we have to kill him at all costs. I'm afraid it's impossible here. Soul Fighter, take my token and find out everything about this kid. Whether you can kill him or not is also a test for you. I'll arrange 10 peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm for you. In addition I'll give you the upper grade spirit treasure Heavenly Eye. It's up to you how to do it." "Thank you, Master." 8 days later. Below the city wall, the monster tide within a few hundred miles had strengthened to the point that most of the monsters were at the peak of the late stage of the primordial soul realm or half-step to the manifestation realm. There was at least one monster in the early stage of the manifestation realm for every 100 monsters. After 8 days of seclusion, the members of Proud Heavens finally began to hunt. During this time, Qin Shui had already gathered Huyan Aobua and the others. Accompanied by 2 immortal primes, she told them her idea. After hearing the news, everyone's expression was solemn, but they all agreed without hesitation. They were not stupid. After this life and death crisis and the conflict with the limitless demon palace, they had already realized that they were not on the same level as Chen Hao. Although their realms were almost the same, the difference in their combat strength was too great. If they continued to follow Chen Hao, as Immortal Yunwei said, they would be in danger. They might be able to survive this time, but what about the next time? Moreover, the reason they were able to advance in this crisis was not because of Soul Fighter and the others, but because of the powerful monster horde. The battle between Soul Fighter and the others and Chen Hao was completely beyond their level. They did not even have the right to participate. How could they improve? Fortunately, Chen Hao blocked it. And he blocked Chen Hao in a dangerous situation. If it were not for them, Chen Hao would definitely be able to escape easily. There was no doubt about that. This was also the most important thing. They would be a burden to Chen Hao. The endless wilderness was filled with an ancient and desolate aura. There were endless mountain peaks and overgrown old forests. It was so quiet that it was a little scary. Looking from afar on many mountain peaks, one could see abandoned and dilapidated ancient palaces. These palaces were extremely large. Although they were dilapidated and had been there for tens of thousands of years, they still exuded the grandeur and vastness of the past. This was the area left behind by the ancient sects in the central continent. In addition to the foreign monsters and ancient fierce beasts, there were also countless broken mechanisms and restrictions here. Some had lost their power, but some still had a trace of function. But it was these remaining mechanisms and restrictions that made this area with a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles one of the most dangerous places in the central continent. Only cultivators above the creation realm dared to step in. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew, and the weeds on the mountainside that were taller than a person bent down, revealing the figure of a young man. The young man had a handsome face that could make women's hearts beat and men jealous. At this moment the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and his pitch-black eyes were full of ridicule as he stared into the distance. His clothes were full of holes and dried blood stains. Just by looking at this, it was clear that this young man had experienced a fierce battle. But what was strange was that through the tattered clothes, the exposed skin of the young man was sparkling like jade, without the slightest trace of a wound. This young man was Chen Hao. 25 people at the peak of the advanced stage of the creation realm. They really think highly of me. Chen Hao's eyes flashed with a hint of fierceness as he thought to himself. Whoosh! Another gust of wind blew and Chen Hao's entire body instantly blended into the gust of wind, leaving no trace behind. Over there. Chase. Hiss hiss hiss. The moment the young man disappeared, several figures quickly appeared in the air. One of the young men's cultivation was obviously the weakest. He was only at the peak of the initial stage of the creation realm, but he was surrounded by a group of experts. It was obvious that he was the leader of the group. This young man was the chief disciple of the younger generation of the Limitless Demon Palace's Heartbroken Hall, Soul Fighter. Everyone restrain your aura. Surrounded by the group, Soul Fighter flew quickly. His eyes shone brightly as he locked onto a faintly discernible aura in front of him. This young man is really bold. He doesn't take us seriously at all. He knows that we won't let him go, but he still dares to come here. Isn't this what we want? The two celestial primes of the limitless celestial palace overestimated this young man. They took everyone away but left this young man behind. Do they really think that this young man is a human immortal? Don't let your guard down. You haven't seen how abnormal this young man is. One of the experts at the peak of the advanced stage of the creation realm said cautiously. This person was the disciple who had almost been pierced through the heart by Qin Hao. 2 months ago, even if this young man fought with me directly, I would have been seriously injured if I wanted to kill him. Now he has been in seclusion in Dian City for more than a month. Although he is still at the half step to the creation realm, I feel that his combat strength has definitely improved tremendously. And what? I feel that he has something to rely on. Is it possible? He is only so bold because of his concealment technique. Unfortunately, with the upper-grade spiritual treasure that my master gave me, it is impossible for him to escape my senses. Soul Fighter said. At this moment, not only did he have the upper-grade spiritual treasure Heavenly Eye, which could see through concealment techniques, he also had the upper-grade spiritual treasure Mortal Dust, which could conceal one's aura. As for the other 25 people, they were all at the peak of the advanced stage of the creation realm. Therefore, he believed that as long as they concealed their auras, Qin Hao would never discover their existence. Even if they were within 100 miles of Qin Hao, it would not be a problem. Under the sharing of God's eye, everyone could also sense Qin Hao's aura. These abandoned palaces are the remains of the ancient sect that has existed for hundreds of thousands of years. A cool breeze blew past and Qin Hao's figure appeared on top of a mountain. He stared at the dilapidated palaces in front of him and said with a hint of excitement in his eyes. Celestial Venerable Han Mei and Celestial Venerable Yun Wei had suggested that Qin Hao come to the remains of the ancient sect. 2 months ago, when they were at the 160th supply station in Great Yen City, Qin Hao and the others were unable to resist the beast tide as the intensity of the beast tide increased. At the request of the two celestial venerables, he separated from the rest. Huyan Aobua and the others had gone to the Wuji Palace. Qin Hao stayed in the Alliance Cultivation Hall in Great Yen City and cultivated in seclusion for 1.5 months. After making sufficient preparations, he stepped out of Great Yen City. He came directly here. At this moment, Qin Hao's aura was still at the half-step to creation realm. Judging from his aura alone, he had not improved much compared to 2 months ago. However, if a cultivator below the man-god stage wanted to kill him, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 440. This is it. Once I get rid of these guys, it will be time for me to go to the Wuji Immortal Palace. Aren't they just some creation realm cultivators? Qin Hao promised the two celestial primes, but they didn't know that Qin Hao had only agreed temporarily. Who said that geniuses were destined to be lonely? He didn't believe in heresy and he was confident that he could lead everyone to become stronger. Of course, the source of this confidence was his fusion with the old god. Before the fusion was completed, Qin Hao was afraid that he would have to listen to the two celestial primes' advice. Now, it was time for Qin Hao to prove himself. Qin Hao calmly landed on the huge platform in front of the dilapidated palace. This platform had a radius of 100 miles. Although it was bumpy and even covered with weeds, it still exuded the glory and atmosphere of the past. In the center was a golden palace that was incompatible with the ancient aura of the platform. Above the entrance of the palace, there was a huge plaque with the words, Alliance Ancient Sect Ruins No. 93 written on it. On the right side of the door, there was a huge stone tablet that introduced the situation in the ruins in detail. I hope this kid is qualified to enter. After Qin Hao stepped into the newly built palace, several figures came to the entrance of the palace as fast as lightning. However, they still hid their auras. Although there were countless opportunities to attack, they didn't dare to act rashly because they didn't have the confidence to kill him in one blow. Moreover, Qin Hao's boldness made them suspect that the two celestial primes deliberately let him mislead them. But now, as long as Qin Hao could enter the ancient sect ruins, they had nothing to worry about. Experts above the human celestial realm were absolutely unable to enter the ancient sect ruins No. 93. Only cultivators below the creation realm could enter. After entering, the space was filled with a large number of ancient beasts and array mechanisms. As long as one was strong enough, one could enter the various cultivation holy lands left behind by the ancient sections. These holy lands, after hundreds of thousands of years, could still be preserved, which was enough to prove their strength. Moreover, those with great luck and opportunity had a high chance of obtaining inherited magic treasures and unique skills. The ancient sect ruins number 93 was discovered by the Alliance and was protected by the Alliance. It opened once a year at a fixed time. If one wanted to enter, they had to pay a sufficient fee, and their strength also had to meet the entry requirements. Once a cultivator entered, they would be blocked by the aura of the relic and lose all contact with the outside world. Whether he lived or died would depend on his own strength. Definitely. 2 months ago, his attack power was not much weaker than someone at the peak of the late stage of the Blessed Realm. He must be even stronger now, said the cultivator who had been severely injured by Qin Hao. Let's get ready. Once he goes in, we won't have any scruples. Mo Wu Xian's face flashed with a trace of coldness and excitement as he said, "Half-step to Blessed Realm? Little brother, did you make a mistake? Ruin Site 93 is only suitable for cultivators in the middle or later stage of the Blessed Realm to train." When Qin Hao stepped into the Alliance Palace, several Alliance staff members sensed Qin Hao's aura, and one of them said kindly, "That's right, I want to come here. Please help me with the procedures. It seems like there's only an hour left to enter." Qin Hao said with a smile, "You have to think carefully. If you can't pass the entry qualification test, the fee you paid will not be refunded." The old man reminded him again. "Here are 5 million high-grade primal crystal stones." Qin Hao did not say anything else and directly handed his guardian token and a storage ring to the old man. "All right." The old man shook his head and said. Everyone looked at Qin Hao and already thought of him as a hedonistic disciple of a large faction. However, beep. Qin Hao. When the old man took Qin Hao's guardian token and registered, he was surprised when he saw Qin Hao's information and looked at Qin Hao. "What's wrong, senior?" Qin Hao was slightly puzzled. "Oh, nothing. Welcome to our number 93 historical site. Your identity has been confirmed. You can enter for free. Brother Qin, please go in. Good luck." As the old man spoke, a door made of unknown material and covered with mysterious runes opened with a rumble. He smiled and made an inviting gesture to Qin Hao. "Free. There's no need to test. Your guardian's information shows that your combat power is level 9. There's no need to test. Moreover, you are an elite guardian specially approved by the Alliance headquarters. In the future, any activity within the Alliance's sphere of influence will be free. The Alliance will provide you with all the best conditions." Ahem. Qin Hao looked at the old man who became unusually respectful in front of him strangely. "Senior, what's going on? I seem to be just an ordinary level 4 guardian. What do you mean by level 9 combat power? What does elite guardian mean?" This is a special situation. Only after being recommended by an expert in the Alliance and approved by the Alliance headquarters can you obtain this special honor. Wait a moment, I'll check for you," the old man said as he sent out a stream of energy into the token again. After a while, the old man raised his head and looked at Qin Hao. "No wonder you didn't know. The Alliance headquarters approved it 4 hours ago. Brother Qin, you were recommended to the Alliance headquarters by Dian City. Level 9 combat power has nothing to do with one's realm. It's a level evaluation to prove one's ability to challenge someone of a higher realm. Level 9 means that you have the ability to challenge a genius disciple in the late stage of the manifestation realm. This is quite a high level. Anyone who reaches level 9 combat power will become an elite guardian of the Alliance and receive special care from the Alliance. This is because you might be the top expert in the entire boundless world in the future. Brother Qin, don't you know that someone recommended you? This. I know now. Thank you, senior. You're welcome. Please go in. Brother Qin, be careful. Once you go in, you can only come out after 3 months. Ancient beasts, mechanisms, restrictions and cultivators who enter, you have to be careful. Understood. Senior Meng Yicheng is really generous. This has helped me save 5 million high-grade primal crystal stones. In the future it will be free in the Alliance. How much should I save? Although Qin Hao had stones of inestimable value, he did not exchange them for primal crystal stones. How could he be happy if it was free? Shaking his head, Qin Hao cast aside the distracting thoughts in his mind and looked at the long and narrow passage in front of him. This was a circular passageway that was covered in profound talisman markings and restrictions. At the end of the passageway, a milky white light flickered. Shockingly, it was a teleportation door. As soon as he stepped in, Qin Hao appeared in a hall that was constantly buzzing. Half-step to manifestation realm? I wonder which great faction's monstrous genius is this? The moment he appeared, Qin Hao attracted the attention of many people who were waiting for the ruins to open. The ancient sect ruins opened on this day every year, and it would only open for a few minutes. Therefore, cultivators who wanted to enter the ruins could go through the alliance 2 days in advance and wait in this hall for the ruins to open. At this moment, there was only an hour before the ruins opened. Almost all the cultivators who wanted to enter the ruins had arrived, and there were as many as 500 people. Although it might be a hindrance to rope him in, it's not bad to be able to make friends with such a person. Immediately, many of the experts who had formed a pair began to move closer to Qin Hao. Everyone knew that to be qualified to enter at half-step to manifestation realm, one's combat strength and talent must be very high. In particular, Qin Hao's life aura was very young. Even if his current strength was slightly weaker, it would be good to be able to make friends with such a genius. Unfortunately, several olive branches extended, including beautiful women, were all rejected by Qin Hao with a smile. Seeing that Qin Hao had no intention of forming a group, the others did not try anymore. Qin Hao also sat down cross-legged and slowly closed his eyes, waiting for the group of idiots who thought they had hidden well to appear. Brother, I'm Xianxia, a disciple of Wuxia Immortal Palace. How should I address you? Qin Hao did not expect that there would still be someone who did not give up and came up to him. The person who came was only at the initial stage of the manifestation realm, but he was very young. At best, he was about the same age as Qin Hao. He was definitely not older than 1 year old. Moreover, with Qin Hao's sharp soul perception, he could clearly feel that the young man's body contained a majestic and terrifying energy, which surprised Qin Hao slightly. Qin Hao. Sorry, I'm used to training by myself, Qin Hao had to say again. Me too. I wonder which force Brother Qin is from. When Xianxia heard Qin Hao's name, he thought for a moment. It was obvious that he had never heard of this name in his memory, which made him feel a little strange. How could he not know such a young monstrous genius with such combat strength and talent? I can barely be considered a disciple of Wuxia Immortal Palace. After I leave here I should be, Qin Hao said with a faint smile. Oh, there's such a thing? With Brother Chen's talent and combat strength, how can you only barely be considered a disciple? I don't like restrictions. I said this because my cultivation partners are all disciples of Wuxia Immortal Palace, Qin Hao said. Amazing. I wonder what Brother Chen's cultivation partners are called? Maybe I know them. When I join Wuxia Immortal Palace, you'll naturally know. We'll talk again if there's a chance. You'd better stay away from me so that you don't get into trouble, Qin Hao suddenly said through voice transmission. After he finished speaking, he closed his eyes and ignored Xianxia. Xianxia was slightly stunned. At that moment, ripples came from the teleportation door at the entrance of the hall, and figures suddenly appeared in front of everyone. What surprised everyone was that in a moment 25 experts at the peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm and 1 at the peak of the initial stage of the manifestation realm entered. Chapter 441. Why are people at the peak of the late stage manifestation realm here? Why are there so many of them? Many people were puzzled. There were more than 500 cultivators present, and most of them were at the late stage manifestation realm. The late stage manifestation realm cultivators were older and did not have good talent. The 93rd ancient sect relic was only suitable for a small number of early stage manifestation realm super geniuses, as well as ordinary mid-stage and late-stage manifestation realm experts. It was not challenging for those at the peak of the late-stage manifestation realm to train here. But when there was less than an hour before the relic opened, 24 people at the peak of the late-stage manifestation realm had come. Of course, everyone was surprised and unhappy. The area of the relic was small, and there were only a few ancient beasts, mechanisms, restrictions, and cultivation resources. If this was not seizing resources, then what was? When Soul Fighter and the others stepped into the hall, they all had arrogant expressions on their faces as if they were superior people. Their gazes quickly swept across the crowd and quickly locked onto Qin Hao. They did not bother to hide the ridicule and provocation in their eyes. At this point there was no turning back. In their eyes, Qin Hao was already a turtle in a jar and there was no need to hide anything. Of course, this was not the time to provoke them. People from Limitless Demon Palace? Are they here for him? Xianxia had already sat cross-legged beside Qin Hao. When Qin Hao stopped talking to him, he did not leave. He did not think that there was any trouble that could make him afraid. However, when he saw the 25 people who suddenly appeared, he was slightly surprised. From their gazes he could tell that they were here for Qin Hao. What an arrogant guy. He knows that there are so many experts and he still dares to come here. Could it be that he's not afraid of so many elites at the peak of the later stage of Blessed Realm? Xianxia cast a subtle glance at Qin Hao, who had his eyes closed to rest, and he became even more curious. Junior brother, the guy beside that kid is Xianxia from Limitless Immortal Palace. Xianxia? Is he very powerful? He is indeed very powerful. 4 months ago, when Limitless Elite Academy was selecting disciples, I was lucky enough to get an entry ticket. And this Xianxia, when he just entered the manifestation realm, he defeated countless geniuses at the peak of the early stage manifestation realm and entered the top 100 to become a disciple of Elite Academy. A disciple of the Elite Academy? When Soul Fighter Mo and the rest heard the words of this expert who was at the peak of the late stage of the manifestation stage, they were instantly shocked. The Everlasting Elite Academy was established by all the top experts of the Boundless Continent and was managed by the Alliance. It was a gathering place for all the monstrous geniuses of the Central Continent, regardless of their factions or races. Only Creation Realm cultivators who were at least 28 years old had the right to participate in the selection. Every year only 100 people were allowed to participate, but the number of cultivators who participated in the selection was in the hundreds of thousands. Once one became a disciple of the Elite Academy, one would receive the highest level of training in the Alliance and would also become the target of competition among the major powers in the Boundless Continent. Yeah, this Xianxia is sitting together with that kid. Could it be that the two of them know each other? If Xianxia interferes, then we'll be in trouble. What was there to be afraid of? Master has already submitted my information. Next year I will definitely become a disciple of the Elite Academy. From the looks of it, they don't seem to be related. Let's not provoke him. If you want to stop us, then don't blame us for not giving you face. You don't have to worry about this. All right then, everyone, ruin number 93 is about to open. Please get ready. After half an hour, an old man's voice rang out in the hall. The cultivators who were sitting cross-legged in the hall took a deep breath and stood up. The trial in ruin number 93 will last for 3 months. This ruin is a trial ground for the disciples of the ancient sections. When the time limit is reached, you will automatically step out. I hope that everyone will be able to reap great rewards. Please act according to your abilities. The most important thing is to come out alive. Please get ready. It will open now. Hiss, 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 hiss. The moment the old man finished speaking, rays of light suddenly shone from the ground of the hall and enveloped everyone. Some of the disciples who had entered in groups huddled together. Mo Wuxia and the rest were no exception. However, they were divided into 6 groups. 4 of them were at the peak of the late stage of the creation realm. Soul Fighter was in a group with the strongest 4. Moreover, at this moment, their gazes were on Qin Hao and Xianxia. When they saw that the 2 of them did not join forces, they heaved a sigh of relief. It was not that they were afraid of Xianxia's strength. After all, although Xianxia was a monster, he was only at the beginning stage of the creation realm. Compared to Qin Hao, who was an absolute monster, he was definitely not much stronger. However, his identity made Soul Fighter and the rest not dare to kill him. Every disciple of the Elite Academy was protected by the Alliance. If Xianxia helped Qin Hao, they would be in trouble. This was because the disciples of the Elite Academy received the highest level of protection from the Alliance. Even if they were in the ruin and no information would be leaked, they would not dare to kill Xianxia even if they were given 10 guts. The moment everyone disappeared, Qin Hao frowned slightly and looked at Xianxia. Brother Qin, I love to join in the fun. I was just watching. Xianxia said telepathically. Sorry brother Xiang. I don't want to be watched. Moreover, you don't have to get involved in this mess. Qin Hao said telepathically. At the same time he cut off Xiang Tianxiao's mental lock. Chen Hao was clear that if Xiang Tianxiao's mental lock was activated, they would definitely be teleported to a nearby location. Although he could feel that this guy had no ill intentions and even had the intention to help him, Chen Hao still rejected him. Hiss. Immediately the cultivators in the hall disappeared at the same time. In a short moment Chen Hao appeared in the ruin. Underground city? Chen Hao looked at the scene in front of him and said in surprise. For any ruin, every time it was opened the scene one would encounter would not be the same. Ruin number 93 had been discovered for hundreds of years. According to the summary of the cultivators who had entered, there were a total of 36 scenes. There was no pattern to what kind of scene would appear every year. Very good. This maze is even more suitable for playing hide-and-seek. Chen Hao stared at the two dark tunnels that appeared in front of him. Under the torch-like light in the tunnel he revealed a devilish smile. He spread out his powerful soul perception and stepped directly into the tunnel. The ancient beasts here are all treasures. Their tendons, bones, skin, horns, blood and inner cores are all invaluable, especially to the cultivators of the demon Tao. Chen Hao said, according to the information this ruin has existed for hundreds of thousands of years, but it's still operating normally. It's fine if the holy land of cultivation can be maintained as long as there's a formation that's powerful enough to condense a spiritual artifact of heaven and earth. However, the ancient beasts can also be killed endlessly. It's obvious that there's new replenishment every year. It's too powerful. Old God, how powerful is the mighty person who condensed this ancient sect ruin? I don't know how powerful he is, but don't think that no one is in control of ancient ruins. Basically, all ancient ruins are under the control of ancient mighty people. These people are either the top experts from the boundless land or the mighty people from more powerful planes. They take care of you from the boundless land, and a very small number of them are there to select disciples. However, only those ruins that require at least the celestial immortal realm to enter are possible. In short, as long as you enter the ruins, your situation will be known to the master of the ruins. Your current realm is too low, so it's useless to know this. Old God said, the blood essence of ancient beasts is quite good. Can collect more. Okay. Chen Hao extended his perception into the depths of the tunnel. The terrifying pressure and the thick aura of ancient beasts became stronger and stronger. Chen Hao's mind was in high alert as he carefully observed his surroundings. Since this ruin was a training ground of an ancient sect, there must be all kinds of dangers. No one dared to be careless. Break for me. Boom boom boom. Without any warning, 6 incomparably sharp attacks suddenly shot out from the top, bottom, left, right, front and back of the tunnel. Even Chen Hao was shocked. However, his sharp senses and powerful reaction speed allowed him to throw out 6 punches in an instant. His body also twisted strangely, avoiding the destructive energy of the explosion at close range. Immediately after, 6 paths appeared with only a few tenths of a second between them, causing Chen Hao to fall into a tense battle. 5 minutes later, phew. No wonder only those in Blessed Realm are allowed to enter. Even little Snow would be injured if she ran into the first stage. If one's reaction speed, attack power and body movement are weak in any of these areas, they won't be able to pass. Of course, those with powerful physical bodies and monstrous defense are exceptions. But only those at the peak of the later stage of Blessed Realm can do that. Chen Hao relied on his powerful reaction speed, movement technique and attacks that surpassed his own realm to pass through the first checkpoint without any injuries. However, it wasn't easy for him to do this. In just 5 minutes, his forehead was covered with sparkling and translucent beads of sweat. This wasn't because he was tired but because he was so nervous that he broke out in a cold sweat. Damn, he's so strong. If I was alone, I would definitely be injured. At the same time, quite a number of cultivators who had formed a pair in another tunnel were shocked. Damn it, I heard that the underground city is the strongest training ground in ruins number 93. It must be because of the 20 or so elites at the peak of the later stage of Blessed Realm who entered in the end. That should be the case. The training grounds in the ruins are closely related to the strength of the cultivators who enter. This is good because it'll be more challenging for us. Let's go, we'll speed up and try to pass as soon as possible so that we can snatch a better holy land for cultivation. Alright. There are still 35 stages. Let's hurry. We can't let that brat get there first. Don't worry, junior brother Wuxia. What we need to worry about is whether that brat will succeed. No matter how monstrous he is, he's only half a step into blessed realm. That's right, he'll definitely die this time. If he doesn't succeed, he'll die. If he succeeds, he'll have to face us. It'll be fine as long as we don't let him snatch a holy land for cultivation. Of course, there are still a few stages later. If any of the 6 squads run into him, we'll be able to take him down. It'll be the safest. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 442. After he cleared the first stage, a tunnel appeared in front of Chen Hao. It was connected horizontally and he could not see the end of the tunnel to his left and right. Right in front of him were countless tunnels that were as black as ink. Even with Chen Hao's extraordinary vision, he could not see anything. He could only see darkness. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Boom, 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 break. Hey. Right when Chen Hao appeared at the intersection and took a short break to adjust his breathing, the sounds of cultivators fighting and shouting came from both sides. Some of them were near and some of them were far away. Looks like I'm quite fast. I'll continue going deeper. Chen Hao took a step forward and entered the closest dark tunnel. Sizzle. Sizzle. When Chen Hao stepped into the dark tunnel and moved 1,000 feet forward with his senses, faint sounds of air being torn suddenly came from behind and in front of him. Balls of dark blue light that looked like will-o'-the-wisps were like dark blue water droplets that fell from the air. They were in groups of 2 and they slowly grew larger. Soon there were 4 groups in front and behind him. The eyes of ancient beasts? How amazing. Even with my senses, I can't sense any ancient beast's auras. Boom. Chen Hao circulated his true origin in a frenzy. Bang. 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 8 huge beasts with eyes that looked like bronze bells shone with a dark blue light. They roared and charged at Chen Hao. At that moment, the terrifying ancient beast's auras spread out fearlessly, and the entire tunnel trembled violently. 8 of them at the middle stage of Blessed Realm. 4 of them at the front and back, and they want to surround and attack me? Charge. Bang. Boom. Chen Hao stomped on the ground and a loud bang rose from beneath his feet. He charged at the 4 ancient beasts in front of him like a cannonball. At the same time, he swung his left hand and executed a dragon-subduing palm that was filled with extreme yang energy to stop the beasts behind him from getting closer. With his right hand, he raised his sword and charged forward. Open. Chen Hao's pupils constricted. His wrist streaked across the air, and in the blink of an eye, he sent out several sharp sword lights that illuminated the entire passage. The sword lights contained a mysterious and condensed power, and they seemed to attack the 4 monsters indiscriminately. However, when the sword lights approached the monsters, they suddenly merged into one and completely condensed on the body of a ferocious beast. Roar. Boom, 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 die. At this moment, Chen Hao raised his speed to the peak. With a terrifying speed, he became one with his sword and rushed towards the beast that he was focusing his firepower on. Puff. A dull explosive sound burst out from the middle of the beast's blue eyes that were as bright as lamps. Chen Hao had already broken through the encirclement of the beasts. At this moment, as long as Chen Hao rushed forward without stopping, he would have passed this hurdle. However, Chen Hao did not do that. Instead, he turned around and brandished his sword. With a posture of one man holding back 10,000 men, he blasted out sword after sword. His body bloomed with mysterious light, and he quickly dodged the attacks of the beasts within a small range. 5 minutes later, the ferocious ancient beasts were killed by Chen Hao one by one. The strength of these ancient beasts is only 20% stronger than the same level of extraterrestrial monsters, but their value is much higher. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Chen Hao sent out waves of energy and directly collected the 8 beasts into his mind. If someone saw this scene, they would definitely be astonished. After all, even though the ancient ferocious beasts were full of treasures, their huge bodies still took up the most space. A single one of them was 30 feet tall and 30 feet thick. No one would directly collect them because that would be too much of a waste of space. Moreover, the blood and other materials needed to be processed in time to preserve their effects. However, Chen Hao collected them all in one go. There was no other way. After he merged with the old god this time, the space in his mind had increased by 10 times. The space that was originally filled with the spirit spring and the stones in the origin space now occupied less than 1/10 of the space. 8 huge beasts would not be obvious even if they were thrown in. As for the processing of the materials, it was naturally left to the 5 divine beasts who could transform into clones. Haha, quickly process it. With the blood of these ancient beasts, our physical bodies can be strengthened a lot. I was right? We can now double the entrance fee of 5 million upper-grade primordial crystal stones. This is the value of the blood alone. When Qin Hao walked out of the passage, another horizontal passage appeared in front of him. Not far away, the cultivators' excited voices could be heard. Clearly, their killing speed was faster than Qin Hao's. As long as a cultivator soaks in the blood of the ancient beasts, their physical bodies will be able to absorb the essence in it and transform and strengthen. Not only are there no side effects, but there is also a possibility of awakening the power of the ancient bloodline. If we are lucky enough to awaken it, we will make a fortune. Yes, but the probability is too low. It is better to sell it to the cultivators of the demon clan. These will be more effective for them. The cultivators of the demon clan can directly swallow the inner core of the ancient beasts, and it is possible to obtain the power of inheritance. Why sell it? We are not short of money. As long as it can increase our strength, we will use it ourselves. Listening to the discussion from afar, Qin Hao adjusted his breathing for a moment and began to break through the levels again. Of the 36 levels, Qin Hao relied on his abnormal recovery ability to break through 12 in one go. Finally, he did not dare to continue. I only have 30% of my primordial crystal stones left. If those guys were not here, I could continue, but now I have to be careful. Qin Hao shrank into the passage, set up a simple miniature array, and directly entered a state of cultivation to recover. This was the flaw of being a lone wolf. Without teammates in this sort of situation, he had to be careful even when recovering. Qin Hao's speed in breaking through the levels was not slow, but when he sensed the cultivators at every intersection, he understood that his speed was only about the same as that of a normal team. As for Soul Fighter's team, they were definitely much faster than him. After all, aside from Soul Fighter, they were all elites at the peak of the later stage of Blessed Realm. There was basically no challenge for such elites in the ruins. Their speed in breaking through the levels would definitely be like a hot knife cutting through butter. Where are you? Soul Fighter and the 5 elites appeared at the intersection at the same time. When they saw that the next level had turned into a hall that stretched as far as the eye could see, Soul Fighter sent a message through a communication talisman. In the ruins, the aura of the ruins blocked the Protector's communication devices and spirit channeling mirrors. Not only were they unable to contact the outside world, they were also unable to communicate with each other. This was because the Protector's communication devices and spirit channeling mirrors needed the support of the mysterious array that the Alliance had set up in the entire Middle Continent. It was just like the cell phone signal on Earth. There was no signal in the ruins. The only thing they could rely on was the communication talisman that allowed them to communicate with each other. We're about to reach the 14th level. The other 5 teams quickly sent messages to them. The 14th level is a test of the gravitational field and mighty pressure. All the cultivators will be in the same hall. 5th and 6th teams stay behind. Once you enter, slow down. If the brat is not too far away, then if you are confident, take him down. Don't wait for too long. If you don't find him in 2 hours, then quickly break through the level. All right. The 14th level might be in the same hall, but it was a ring-shaped space that surrounded the entire underground city. No one could be certain where Qin Hao would appear. Besides, under the dual effects of the gravitational field and mighty pressure, if they were slightly further away, they would need to spend a lot of time to get close to Qin Hao. They could only rely on their luck. With our speed, we might not be able to wait for the brat in 2 hours. He's just one person, so he must have used up a lot of energy. It'll be good if he can reach the 8th level. Besides, he might be cultivating to recover, one of the cultivators in 6th team said. Not necessarily. You don't know how great the brat's endurance and tenacity are. It's hard to say if he's rested or not. Junior brother Wuxian's 2 hours are quite reliable. Another cultivator said. This cultivator was the one who had almost been killed by Qin Hao. I think you're traumatized by the brat. He's just half a step into Blessed Realm. How could he be as terrifying as you say? Traumatized? You can say that. When you see how powerful he is, you'll understand whether I'm telling the truth. Break. Boom. A powerful sealed door exploded with a bang. Xianxia, who was at the peak of the initial stage of Blessed Realm, easily passed through the 13th level without even using a weapon. And he only used one attack. What great power. It's Xianxia. Sixth team waited for 15 minutes at a spot that was a little closer to the entrance of the 14th level. Then, without any warning, a loud bang erupted from the blocked tunnel not far away. Debris flew into the air and they saw Xianxia's figure. He actually broke through with one attack. We attacked for 3 minutes before we broke through. The 4 elites of 6th team were shocked. And he cleared the level so quickly alone. Gravity and pressure test? Xianxia looked through the door in front of him. Once he saw the incredibly large space, he quickly looked around. As expected, he's waiting. The chances of running into him in such a large space are very small, right? Thank goodness it's me. If Qianhao ran into him, those guys would be so smug, Xianxia thought. I should recover and see if there's a good show. Xianxia stepped into the hall and went a little further in. He sat down cross-legged at the edge of the gravity field and the pressure. As he recovered, he sensed the situation around him. Attack and endurance test? In a short 15 minutes, Qianhao recovered to his peak condition with the help of the spirit spring refined by the old god. He went straight to the 13th level, and no traps or ancient beasts appeared even when he reached the end of the tunnel. Once he saw the blocked tunnel in front of him, he understood what the test was. The thing blocking the tunnel was an icy blue crystal in the shape of a human skeleton. A profound presence enveloped the human-shaped crystal. Chapter 443. Bang. He struck with his palm and the human-shaped skeleton crystal trembled violently. Qianhao's body also swayed. As expected, the stronger my attack is, the stronger the rebound will be. If my attack is unable to reach the limit of what this crystal skeleton can withstand, it will take a long time to destroy it bit by bit. If my attack exceeds the limit, it will shatter. This thing is not bad, but it's a pity that I can't take it away. Break. Bang. Boom. Qianhao struck with his palm and the human-shaped skeleton instantly exploded. Qianhao's body only swayed a little before he stepped out of the tunnel. When he saw the boundless hall in the 14th stage, Qianhao's eyes immediately shone brightly. Are you waiting for me? It's that brat. The instant Qianhao stepped into the test hall for both gravity and mighty pressure, Qianhao and the 4 elites at the peak of the later stage of Blessed Realm saw each other almost at the same time, even though they were 10,000 feet apart. Ha! What good luck. Run. Die. T. At that moment, the 4 people instantly charged at Qianhao excitedly and attacked at the same time. It was only 10,000 feet away, and with their strength they could close the distance in an instant. Furthermore, the 10,000 feet area was also within their attack range. Bang. Bang. 2 fierce rays of light shone in Qianhao's eyes. He stepped into the area enveloped by the gravity field and pressure. He ignored the attacks from the 4 people who were 10,000 feet away and left them behind with his lightning-fast speed. Your speed is not bad, but it's not enough. If you obediently let yourself be captured, maybe junior brother Wuxia will give you a slightly better way to die. But when the 4 people attacked from the distance, they were already several thousand feet away. Their strength at the peak of late-stage Blessed Realm did not affect them much at the edge of the area. When they saw that Qianhao easily avoided their attacks, they were not surprised. At that moment they worked together and sent out 4 gigantic hands that reached the sky. They charged at Qianhao with a howl. With just the 4 of you? Qianhao's speed was already very fast, and the moment the 4 hands arrived, his speed doubled as he charged into the depths. At this moment the 4 of them frowned slightly. They thought that Qianhao must have used his maximum speed in his panic. They didn't expect him to double his speed. Even if they could control the giant hand, they wouldn't be able to lock onto Qianhao. Let's catch up to him first. It seems that this brat is indeed difficult to deal with. It's not possible to take him down from a distance, the leader ordered. With one fleeing, the other 4 gave chase. They were all as fast as lightning. As they went deeper, the gravitational field and pressure became stronger and stronger. The 5 of them also felt more and more restricted. However, seeing that they were getting closer and closer to Qianhao, the 4 of them gradually became excited. But every time Qianhao reached a distance of 1,500 feet, it was as if he had broken through his limit. He suddenly accelerated again, causing the distance between them to close at an extremely slow speed. 600 times the gravity field, but this kid can still maintain his speed. In just 3 minutes, the terrifying pressure and gravity field made it difficult for the four of them. However, Qinhao's half-step manifestation speed did not slow down in the slightest. This made the four of them look a little embarrassed. If this continued, Qinhao would probably rush out of the checkpoint in less than 10 minutes. Fortunately, in less than a minute, Qinhao seemed to be struggling and his speed had clearly decreased by a lot. Haha. It's already very shocking for a half-step to manifestation to have such speed, but you're still a half-step to manifestation. Hiss 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 hiss. The four of them pushed their speed to the limit in one go and closed in on Qinhao as fast as lightning. 4,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 2,000 feet. Just when the four of them felt that they could definitely capture Meng Chao and were about to attack. Get lost. A cold shout suddenly burst out of Qinhao's mouth. He was charging forward as if he was running for his life, but he didn't even turn his head. He swung his sword and spun behind him. A sword light that was like a waterfall seemed to tear through the air. It was extremely fast and condensed, causing the four experts at the peak of the late stage of the Blessed Realm to feel their hair stand on end. They launched their own attacks in a frenzy. Boom. Boom. This brat is indeed troublesome. Don't underestimate him. We can't capture him alive. Kill him. The four of them launched 4 attacks at the same time and cancelled out Qinhao's sword light. While they were shocked, they were also furious. Their expressions turned solemn, and in the blink of an eye, they surrounded Qinhao from 4 directions. Their fighting spirit and energy rose madly. Split. Hiss. Hiss. In the blink of an eye, Qinhao split into 4. 4 figures, 4 sword lights, and all of them became one with their swords. What was even more shocking was that each of the clones shone with a dazzling light. The red light was like fire, the blue light was like ice, the gold light was like the scorching sun, and the green light was like jade. The 4 different colors of light illuminated a circular area of 10,000 feet, causing the 4 peak late-stage manifestation realm experts to feel their hearts tremble at that moment. Fast. No one could describe how fast the 4 clones attacked when they became one with their swords. At the very least, the 4 people could clearly feel the threat of death looming over them. However, what they did not know was that from a bystander's point of view, Qinhao's 4 clones were not very fast. At most, they were the fastest strike of a martial artist in the later stage of Blessed Realm. But, thud, 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 thud. The 4 people did not even have time to react before the sharp swords pierced through their heads. A bunch of trash. Their eyes widened when they saw Qinhao take their storage rings and heard Qinhao's disdainful words, but they could no longer retaliate. Dead, they actually died just like that. They did not even have time to inform the others before they died. So strong, so abnormal, it was clearly not very fast. How could they not react in time? Sword Dao will. If I'm not wrong, it should be an extremely rare Sword Dao, the ethereal Sword Dao. Seems fast but is actually slow. Seems slow but is actually fast. His opponents can't sense the true speed of his sword at all, and their minds are also affected by his Sword Dao will. Ethereal Sword Dao. Yes, people who can comprehend this Sword Dao have extremely strong soul strength. After reaching the immortal venerate realm, soul strength is the most important thing. The stronger the soul, the higher one's future achievements. Coincidentally, the team that had just stepped into the 14th checkpoint was also extremely powerful. When they saw the battle between Qinhao and the 4 people, they were all extremely shocked. This guy is so powerful. He's only at the half step to the creation realm and he's already so strong. What will happen when he steps into the creation realm? Not all of them are like this. Didn't you see what his 4 doppelgangers were wearing? They're all spiritual treasure sets. Moreover, they're definitely middle-grade spiritual treasures or above. This guy must be from a super powerful force behind him, and he must be someone that they're fully nurturing. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to have so many spiritual treasures. Let's go, this kind of person is beyond our imagination. I'm afraid only the top geniuses of the Wuxia Immortal Palace, the Devil Palace and the Monster Palace can compare to him. Phew. After Qinhao plundered the belongings of the 4 people, he heaved a long sigh of relief. In less than a minute, 70% of my vital qi was consumed. Fortunately, there were only 4 of them. If there were a few more, I would have to run. Fortunately, I was prepared, hee hee. During this period of time after experiencing a life and death crisis, Although Chen Hao did not break through to the creation realm, his understanding of the secular sword principle had made astonishing progress. It was not that his sword principle realm had increased, but that it had developed horizontally, and he had gained a new understanding of the ethereal sword principle. Of course, the most important thing was that Chen Hao had spent a month and a half to create a middle-grade spiritual treasure set for the doppelgangers condensed from the 5 divine beasts and the 5-element sword. With old God's guidance on the formation, what kind of power would it have? It would definitely be much more powerful than a single upper-grade spiritual treasure. However, the more powerful a spiritual treasure was, the more energy it would consume to activate it. Without stopping for too long, Chen Hao immediately began to break through the stages. The gravity field and pressure here posed no pressure to the abnormal Chen Hao at all. Could be said that it was the easiest stage. He continued to break through the stages. Damn it, we waited for 2 hours in vain. It seems that he is quite far from us, or he hasn't reached this stage yet. Let's report to junior brother Wuxia. After waiting for 2 hours, the 4 experts in the 6th group still did not see Chen Hao, so they could only choose to give up. Xianxia, who was sitting cross-legged not far away, also waited for 2 hours, but did not see anything interesting. When the 4 people began to break through the stages, he did not stay any longer. 5th group, what's the situation on your side? At the 23rd stage, Zhou Xian received the report from the 6th group, but did not receive the report from the 5th group. He crushed the communication talisman and asked. Buzz. Soon the communication talisman vibrated. Zhou Xian hurriedly read it. But then, what? Zhou Xian was so shocked that he almost jumped up and exclaimed, "They are all dead. It will be your turn soon." Chen Hao's cold voice reverberated in Zhou Xian's mind. Junior brother, what's wrong? The 4 experts immediately looked at Zhou Xian and asked. How is it possible? How is it possible? Junior brother, dead. The 4 people in the 5th group are all dead. They were all killed by that kid. Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. I already explained that the kid is very strong, so the 4 of them had to work together. How could they all be killed? How could they not even notify me? Zhou Wuxian's expression was extremely ugly and pale. He was obviously frightened by Chen Hao's cold voice and the results. Meanwhile, the other 4 experts also revealed shocked expressions. Although these 4 experts were the strongest among the team of 24, they weren't much stronger than the 4 experts from Group 5. And Chen Hao, who was only half-stepped to the manifestation realm, could actually kill the 5th group without even notifying them. What did this mean? A chill shrouded the hearts of the 5 people and they broke out in a cold sweat. Don't be scared out of your wits by me. That won't be fun. Chen Hao, who was advancing rapidly under the gravitational field and pressure, frowned slightly as he thought to himself, full of evil charm. The communication talisman had sent a message. Whether he replied or not, the other party would know. Therefore he might as well not hide anymore. Chapter 444. It's still a mistake. If I had given them a chance to send a message, it would have been better. Now I'm afraid it won't be easy. Chen Hao moved forward quickly. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. He had killed 4 people in an instant. What would Soul Fighter and the rest think? The 4 of them did not have any resistance in front of him and were killed in an instant. As long as Soul Fighter and the rest were not stupid, they would not divide their forces to deal with Chen Hao. In other words, it was impossible for Chen Hao to kill them one by one. It doesn't matter. If the enemy retreats, I will advance. If the enemy advances, I will retreat. No matter what, I have to play them to death. Let's go all out to break through the levels. I have to succeed before they do. After breaking through the 14th level, Chen Hao used another quarter of an hour to recover his strength. Then he began to rush forward with all his strength. At this moment he no longer held back. He was armed from head to toe. His whole body was shining with a 7-colored light. Anyone who saw him could tell that this guy was wearing a set of priceless mid-grade spirit treasures. What was more amazing was that this set of mid-grade spirit treasures could spit out a terrifying energy flow. It was a pure energy shockwave. It did not contain any mystery, but it increased his speed to a frightening degree. With such an abnormal equipment, the levels of this trial were almost useless to him. What was fast? At this moment, if other people saw Chen Hao's speed, they would be ashamed to death. Quick! Break through the levels as fast as possible. Except for the 5th group, which had been completely wiped out, the other 4 groups, especially the 6th group, were giving it their all. The 4 people of the 5th group had been killed in an instant. This had made everyone tremble with fear. Not to mention intercepting Chen Hao halfway, they would be thankful if they did not meet him. Now their only thought was to succeed in breaking through the levels in advance and find a place to hide in the ruins. Or they could meet up with Soul Fighter and the rest as soon as possible and form a fist. This was the only way to stop the monstrous Chen Hao. Brother Soul Fighter, I don't think this is safe. Since that kid has the ability to kill 4 people in an instant, if he gets serious, his speed will be faster than ours. If he waits for us at the exit with the strength of the 5 of us, then what should we do? The 36 checkpoints must be passed within 4 days. Otherwise I will be sealed within. Don't tell me that I should just hide here and wait for death. What I'm trying to say is that when we reach the 36th checkpoint, we'll wait for a moment. Then we'll split up into 5 teams and head out together. That's the safest way. Senior Brother Huang is right. Junior Brother Wuxia, that kid has already reached a level where we can't contend against him. This kind of person is definitely not someone we can kill. Listening to their conversation, Soul Fighter's expression turned extremely ugly. But now, even if he didn't want to admit it, he had to. In front of Chen Hao, he was nothing. Endless anger and also endless regret. If he had known this would happen, why would he have wanted to kill Chen Hao? Even the first time they clashed, it was actually just a sparring session. His men's deaths had nothing to do with Chen Hao. They had all died at the hands of monsters. If he had given up at that time, things would not have turned out this way. Unfortunately, he had twisted the truth and told Fan Suixin that Chen Hao had killed 17 of his junior brothers and sisters. Moreover, he had started a hunt for Chen Hao. I never thought that I, Soul Fighter, would be forced into such a corner. Moreover, it's someone whose level is lower than mine. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Who do they think they are? They're all trash, just trash. If I can reach the peak of the advanced stage of the Blessed Realm, that kid won't be able to be so arrogant. I have to reach the next level at all costs. Only by killing that kid can I get rid of all the hidden dangers. This is the only way. This is the only way. Soul Fighter seemed to have entered a state of madness. Junior Brother Wuxia, I understand. You're all afraid. I'm also afraid. But I'm afraid. Let's do as you say. Senior Brother Huang, you inform them. Soul Fighter, who seemed to have gone mad, quickly calmed down. His words were self-deprecating and dispirited, but his eyes shone with determination and madness. He knew very well that in the cruel world of cultivation, no one would be merciful. If you wanted to kill someone, you had to be prepared to be killed. Even if he gave up now, how could Chen Hao let him go? He was the instigator, so he had to bear the brunt of Chen Hao's pursuit and revenge. Since he had already done it, there was no turning back. He could only move forward. Where are you all now? The disciple known as Senior Brother Huang took the communication talisman from Soul Fighter and sent a message to the other 4 teams. 34. 33. 35. 28. The 4 teams sent back messages one after another. The team at the 28th stage was the 6th team that had been waiting for Chen Hao for 2 hours. Everyone, don't go out after the 36th stage. Tell me first and wait for my signal before we go out together. That's the safest way. Remember to conceal your presence. Okay. After rushing out of the 36th stage, Chen Hao's powerful soul perception spread out. Now it was time for him to kill. In this ruin, the communication talisman couldn't be located at all. In other words, it was impossible for the teams to meet up now. This was also Chen Hao's only chance to kill them. Once they met up, Chen Hao wasn't as strong as they thought. However, at this moment when Chen Hao released his senses, a look of surprise appeared on his face as he looked straight ahead. Hiss! A mysterious wave of energy, accompanied by a pressure that made Chen Hao feel a little shocked, condensed in the air in front of him in a radius of 30 meters. What surprised Chen Hao even more was that at this moment, the surrounding scenery changed, making him clearly feel that his essence, spirit, soul, and inner yuan were all locked in an instant. Such a terrifying feeling. Ever since Chen Hao received the secular sword principle inheritance in the Sky City, he had never experienced it again. What's going on? At this moment, Chen Hao's mind suddenly ran to the limit. and all the hair on his body stood on end. The mysterious wave in front of him was like a green smoke, shuttling through the void and slowly condensing into a shape. In an instant, an old man with an imposing appearance and the demeanor of a transcendent being appeared before Chen Hao. "Little guy, don't be nervous." His appearance was shocking and terrifying. Just his aura alone could kill Chen Hao, but what Chen Hao didn't expect was that after the old man's figure condensed into a shape, all the pressure disappeared in an instant. How was this a top expert? He was clearly an ordinary old man, so ordinary that he couldn't be any more ordinary. With Chen Hao's powerful soul perception, he couldn't sense any cultivation of this old man. Except for a little white hair and a ruddy complexion, his eyes were calm and there was no sharpness to speak of. Where was the aura of an expert? Chen Hao didn't know that the moment the old man appeared, Old God had shrunk into the depths of Chen Hao's mind and sealed the entire space of Chen Hao's mind, not daring to reveal a trace of aura. "Senior, you are?" Chen Hao quickly calmed down from the shock and asked respectfully with cupped fists. "Old man is the owner of this relic." The old man looked at Chen Hao calmly and said, "I've condensed this relic for 10,000 years. 10,000 years? Didn't the information say that it's hundreds of thousands of years?" Chen Hao was puzzled, but he didn't ask. "Your records estimate the time of the relic's existence based on the aura of the relic. In fact, it's just that the materials I used to condense this relic are relatively old. On the Wuxia star, it's impossible to have a relic that can exist for hundreds of thousands of years. Why would someone with that kind of magical power be interested in a small planet like the Wuxia star? Well, this is a trace of the old man's divine thought. You're the first person in 10,000 years to break the record of the 36 checkpoints set by the old man. Once someone breaks the record, the old man will appear. But I didn't expect you to rely on a spiritual treasure." Hearing the old man's words, Chen Hao scratched his head awkwardly. Don't be embarrassed. If you relied solely on a spiritual treasure, the old man might have killed you. You have to know the old man spent a lot of effort to improve you. But you wasted the old man's effort in pursuit of speed. It's really disrespectful to the old man. There's a reason for this. Why don't you let me go through the trial again, old man? It won't be much slower." Chen Hao didn't feel the old man's malice, so he relaxed and said hurriedly, "There's no need." What the old man didn't expect was that you're only at the half step to creation realm. This can be considered heaven's will. Next, the old man will open the highest level of cultivation holy land in the remains for you. It's also the only time. Whether you can comprehend it or not will depend on your luck. "Thank you, senior." Chen Hao showed enough excitement and respect as he cupped his fists and bowed. "What's your name?" "Chen Hao. I'm Chen Hao Go. I hope to see you again." "Chi." As the old man spoke, he didn't give Chen Hao time to think, ask, or do anything. The old man disappeared and turned into a mysterious light that surrounded Chen Hao. In the blink of an eye, Chen Hao felt his thoughts stop for a moment before he regained consciousness. "I haven't dealt with those guys yet." Chen Hao wanted to say something, but it was too late. What kind of cultivation holy land is this? Gravity field? And it's so small? When Chen Hao saw the space in front of him, he frowned slightly and was extremely disappointed. When he heard the old man say that this was the most powerful holy land for cultivators in the remains, he was rather excited. No matter what, the spirit chi of heaven and earth should be unbelievably dense, right? It should be filled with all kinds of profound mysteries of the laws of heaven and earth, right? Or it should be filled with countless spirit objects of heaven and earth, precious mineral veins, or even awesome ultimate techniques. But now this space was only 100 meters long and wide, and one could see through it with a single glance. The four walls, the ground, and the ceiling were all covered with mysterious runes that were similar to a gravitational field. In the middle stood a stone tablet that was less than 10 feet tall, covered with tiny words. Other than that, there was nothing else. The spirit chi of heaven and earth was no different from outside. Chapter 445. Chen Hao's gaze locked onto the densely packed inscriptions, and his brows gradually furrowed. "I don't recognize these words at all." The inscriptions were strangely shaped like tadpoles, but they weren't tadpole characters. Chen Hao didn't recognize them at all. However, just as his mind came into contact with the inscriptions, these densely packed little golden words suddenly came to life, and turned into rays of golden light, shooting straight towards the space between Qinhao's eyebrows. Boom, within 100-meter radius of space, a mysterious power suddenly emerged and enveloped Qinhao's body. Ah, bang. Qinhao, who clearly didn't release any power, suddenly shot up like lightning and simply couldn't react in time, and became a mess in the wind, like rootless duckweed, or like a fallen leaf in a whirlwind, scurrying about in the small space. Position. But it wasn't a gravitational field. It was a kind of position that changed 1,000 times in an instant, without any pattern or direction to speak of. Art of 1,000 transformations. 5 large golden words appeared in Qinhao's mind. Immediately, the densely packed tadpole characters turned into a voice that Qinhao was familiar with, and the essence of the art of 1,000 transformations resounded in his mind. This is the space condensed by the art of 1,000 transformations. Once you step into this room, as time passes, the force will become stronger and stronger. Don't try to break open the secret room. Once you do, the entire space will explode, and even if you are a worldly immortal, your body and soul will be destroyed. This is the art of 1,000 transformations and its mysteries. As long as you can successfully comprehend and cultivate it, the secret room will automatically disappear. The time limit is 1 year, and it will be activated for 11.5 hours every day. 1 hour is your time to rest and recover. If you can't comprehend it within a year, the secret room will explode and you will die here. Kid, work hard. Qinhao wanted to stop his body, but no matter what, he couldn't do it. Because of the chaotic position, when Qinhao thought that he had enough strength to resist the pulling force suddenly disappeared, and that feeling was like all his strength had hit empty air. It was always like this, everywhere. Fuck, Qinhao cursed. The information in the ruins was very clear. It was only 3 months. How did it become a year? Could it be that he had attracted the attention of the master of the ancient domain? However, Qinhao knew that it was impossible to ask the owner of the ruins. This was because everything here had been left behind by the owner of the ruin in advance. Only what he had just seen was the owner of the ruin's spiritual sense. But Qinhao only had 4 months. He made an appointment with Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yiyu, and Tan Tai Lian to return to the eastern continent in 4 months. The 3-year period that he had agreed upon with the sect was about to arrive. How could Qinhao not be anxious? Especially after he had roughly looked through the mental cultivation method of the 1,000 transformations in his mind, he didn't feel anything at all. This also meant that if he wanted to comprehend it, it would definitely be extremely difficult. No matter how high his perception was, he couldn't be sure that he could comprehend it in 4 months. Moreover, the ruins would only be open for 3 months. Even if he could comprehend it in 4 months, if the entrance of the ruins wasn't open at that time, he wouldn't be able to leave. Damn, who would want this kind of cultivation method? The thing that I, your father, don't want the least is cultivation method. 3,000 great Taoists are in your father's mind. Is there anything more awesome than this? What should I do? For the first time, Qinhao was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He wasn't afraid that he would be blown to smithereens if he couldn't comprehend it in a year, but he was afraid that if he couldn't meet the 4 girls in 4 months, what would they think? Especially that old guy didn't even give him a chance to catch his breath. He directly activated the 1,000 transformation space, making him like a headless fly, unable to stop at all. The swaying made him dizzy and nauseous. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. At this point there's no way out. 3 months, I must successfully cultivate it in 3 months. Hiss hiss hiss. Although the 3,000 great Taoists are powerful, with my current strength, I can only cultivate some superficial knowledge. The great 5 elements art, until now I can only cultivate the platinum sky-splitting slash. This 1,000 transformations profound art is definitely a powerful cultivation method. Yes, a very powerful cultivation method. This is a good thing, isn't it? I should be happy, I should have a strong interest in it. Qinhao hypnotized himself in his heart. Comprehend. Comprehend. I need to comprehend it in the shortest time possible. If I succeed in cultivating it, this will be my domain. Anyone who fights with me, as long as their absolute power doesn't exceed mine by too much, will fall into my control. Under self-hypnosis, Qinhao's gloomy feelings were quickly swept away. And indeed, the more he thought about it, the more he realized that this kind of cultivation method had endless uses. This was a kind of mysterious power. It was driven by true essence, but the force used wasn't true essence. In front of the enemy, it couldn't be broken by true essence, unless the absolute power was too strong and exceeded the range of profound energy's control. Otherwise, once the profound energy field that could change according to one's will was condensed around the body, it could display endless uses. Just think about it. Just when you think you have enough speed, there is a sudden pulling force in the opposite direction slowing you down. Or there is a sudden pushing force that makes you speed up. Or there is a lateral force that makes you change your direction. Wait, what does that mean? It meant that when you were dodging the attack, you couldn't be in position, you couldn't find the point of attack, and the best position to display your strength would be deviated. A difference of a few millimeters would lead to a difference of 1,000 miles. This was definitely the best way to win by surprise, and it could be a trump card. Huff. Qin Hao took a deep breath, threw away all distracting thoughts, and allowed himself to drift and pull in the ever-changing profound energy field. His mind was completely integrated into the 1,000 Transformations Profound Energy Arts mental cultivation method, reciting and comprehending over and over again. It was cryptic and difficult to understand, and the owner of the remains didn't give any explanation. He could only rely on his own comprehension. However, what made Qin Hao feel slightly relieved was that this mental cultivation method's incantation, compared to the main outline of the Great Way, was not at the same level. When he calmed down and started to comprehend, he quickly had a feeling. Even though he only comprehended a little, but this had an extraordinary significance. At least he had taken the first step, and that was to be able to comprehend. Moreover, when Qin Hao comprehended a little, he clearly felt a subtle connection with the profound energy field in the room, as if they complemented each other. The profound energy field, through the control of Qin Hao's body, helped him to comprehend. Luckily, we didn't meet that brat. Everyone is safe. Junior, I think we should forget about this matter for the time being. With Junior's talent, at least you'll have a chance to raise your level in the future. We really can't do anything. Moreover, Junior will definitely be able to enter the elite academy next year. At that time, we'll pay a price and get to know a few real demonic characters. It shouldn't be a difficult thing to get rid of this brat. Soul Fighter's face was gloomy. When senior brother Huang spoke, he despised him and did not want to bother with him. However, the last sentence made Soul Fighter's eyes light up. Good idea. Why didn't I think of this? With my training speed, although there is hope that I can reach the peak of the late manifestation realm before he triggers the divine punishment to advance to the manifestation realm, the chances are not high. How long one can be stuck at the half-step manifestation realm varies from person to person. They might break through at any time and might not even dare to trigger the divine punishment for a few years. However, when I enter the elite academy next year, I can think of a way to make a few real demonic geniuses become enemies with this brat. Hee. Soul Fighter's face revealed a sinister and ruthless aura. In a moment, several ideas appeared in his mind. Wasn't it easy to create a conflict? Just based on the fact that Qin Hao had several super beauties who made him jealous, and they were all extremely talented, it would be easy to do. Moreover, besides this method, he had countless other ways to provoke a fight between Qin Hao and those demonic geniuses. In his opinion, this was a very simple matter. In fact, it was also a very simple matter, especially if the demonic geniuses of the Limitless Demon Palace were involved. Phew, Soul Fighter let out a long sigh of relief, and the gloominess on his face was swept away. He looked at the 4 people around him and said, "Let's train with all our might. In these 3 months, I must reach the middle stage of the manifestation realm, or even the peak of the middle stage. Alright, junior brother Soul Fighter, we will just sit at the edge and meditate. At our level, it is extremely difficult to advance. If we can't comprehend the barrier, it will be difficult for us to enter the ranks of the immortal supremes in this lifetime. We will not affect you." Soul Fighter nodded without any modesty. In the extremely dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth and filled with endless laws of heaven and earth, he devoted himself to training. Strange, these 4 guys rushed all the way, but they were only a little slower than me. Could it be because of Qin Hao? Or could it be that Qin Hao had a conflict with their other teams? Moreover, they clearly had the opportunity to choose a better training ground, so why did they go straight to the edge? Although they have reached the peak of the late stage of the primordial soul realm and probably can't comprehend the barrier of the immortal supremes, they shouldn't be so impatient choosing sesame seeds over a watermelon? Xianxia looked at the four guys rushing into the palace as if their butts were on fire and was very puzzled. From their expressions, it seemed like they were fleeing for their lives. And in this place, the only one who had a conflict with them and dared to clash with them was Chen Hao, right? Seems that Chen Hao is really not simple. If he can break through to the manifestation realm during the Elite Academy's assessment next year, the Elite Academy will have another demonic genius and competitor. Interesting, hee. Xianxia shook his head and did not stay any longer. He released his perception and headed directly to the depths of the palace complex in the training ground. Here, breaking through was a test, and it was first come, first served. Whoever was faster would choose the more advanced and powerful palace. Those who were slower would not even be able to choose a palace and could only stay at the edge of the training ground for 3 months. Moreover, the palaces here were the same as in the city in the sky. Once someone entered, others could forget about entering unless they had the other party's permission. Chapter 446. Using true essence as the foundation, using the mind as the guide, condense the profound energy diagram into one's own body, and derive the profound energy field. There are a total of 1,000 profound energy diagrams, and it is called the 1,000 Transformation Profound Energy Art. This diagram is not in the mental cultivation method, but exists in the space of this profound energy field. If I want to completely comprehend it, I must combine the mental cultivation method with the surrounding profound energy field. Come, I want to see how mystical and profound you are. 6 hours. Chen Hao was immersed in the state of comprehension, but after 6 hours he was unable to comprehend any further, as if he had encountered a barrier. After pondering for a moment, he finally found the crux of the matter. If he wanted to completely comprehend the mental cultivation method of the profound energy art, he must use the surrounding profound energy field as a reference, and find the diagram that corresponded to the mental cultivation method's mnemonic from the ever-changing profound energy diagrams. If he did not comprehend a diagram, he would be able to further comprehend the next sentence of the mental cultivation method's mnemonic, as well as the diagram that corresponded to the next sentence. In other words, Chen Hao must control the 1,000 diagrams one by one, step by step, and finally cultivate the 1,000 transformation profound energy art. Chen Hao, who had originally given up on struggling, took the initiative to provoke at this moment, and sent out a stream of energy, wanting to control his own body. Hiss hiss hiss. In an instant the profound energy field fiercely acted on his body. Amazing! This profound energy field is still in a state where it automatically circulates without control, and it's already so mystical. If I succeed in cultivating it, I can move it as I wish and it can change and combine as I wish. Phew. Luckily it circulates in order, or else it would be 100 or 1,000 times harder to capture the diagram that corresponds to the mental cultivation method's mnemonic that I just comprehended. The faster Chen Hao changed the energy of his true essence, the faster the changes in the profound energy field. In an instant Chen Hao was being controlled and thrown around like a toy, battered and exhausted. But Chen Hao did not stop, and his mind was highly concentrated, sensing any minute changes in the profound energy field. Unfortunately, it was always half a beat slower. However, Chen Hao was not discouraged in the slightest. The frequency at which he urged the energy to change it became faster and faster. Time passed by minute, and soon it was 11 hours. The profound energy field disappeared into thin air, and Chen Hao fell to the ground like a dead pig with a bang. Motherfucker! Chen Hao, who was dizzy from the fall, suddenly sprung up and cursed gloomily. If I can't even comprehend the first diagram in a day, how long will it take to comprehend 1,000 diagrams? And it was getting more and more complicated. The more I comprehend, the faster my speed will increase. But there are 1,000 of them. Let alone 3 months, even if I were to comprehend them within a year. Just when Chen Hao felt that the chances of comprehending 1,000 diagrams within a year wasn't very high, the space that had lost the profound energy field suddenly poured out rays of resplendent golden light, enveloping Chen Hao's body. On the walls of the entire space, golden words and the corresponding diagrams appeared. At the same time, under the envelopment of the golden light, Chen Hao clearly felt that there was no need for him to cultivate to recover. The consumed true essence, energy and spirit began to quickly recover on their own. The flickering diagrams and words on the walls slowly evolved in his eyes, deeply sucking in Chen Hao's gaze. It also allowed Chen Hao to regain his confidence. 3 months was not enough, but 1 year should be enough to comprehend and master the 1,000 transformation profound energy art. As for the matter of returning to the Eastern continent after 4 months, he could only do his best. As for the problem they were worried about, Chen Hao could not do anything about it. Things happened so suddenly, who could have predicted it? I hope the 2 senior immortals have a way to find out about my situation. For another 4 trash, a bunch of trash? Oh, that's not right. Could it be that Winter Plum Hall and Yunwei Hall sent experts to help? No matter how strong that kid is, it's impossible for him to kill 4 people in an instant. Moreover, they were all experts at the peak of the late-stage Blessed Realm. In the main hall of Heartbreak Hall in Limitless Demon Palace, Fan Suixin had been paying attention to the movements of Soul Fighter and the others. However, early in the morning he received news from the Hall of Longevity that the longevity tablets of 4 of Soul Fighter's disciples had shattered at the same time. This news made him unable to restrain his anger. Are you sure they shattered at the same time? Yes, Hall Master. I've been paying attention to the longevity tablets at all times, and I dare not slack off. The 4 of them did die at the same time. Inform the Information Hall to immediately investigate the whereabouts of Soul Fighter and the others. No Blessed Realm expert from Winter Plum Hall and Yunwei Hall can kill the 4 of them in an instant. Even if there are many of them, there should be a sequence. If they sent a deity expert, don't blame me for reporting this to the Union's law enforcement team. Yes, Hall Master. In Fan Suixin's opinion, only a deity expert could kill the 4 peak late-stage Blessed Realm experts in an instant. Even the Demon Venerables could not be activated in time. Whether or not the Demon Venerables could be activated was closely related to the cultivator's state of mind. Under normal circumstances, the cultivator would not be able to react in time. In other words, those who were killed by a sneak attack either did not realize the danger at all, or only realized the danger at the moment of death, but it was already too late. Apart from these, the Demon Venerables would be activated automatically as long as there was a battle and under difficult circumstances. However, none of the 4 had died after activating the Demon Venerables' will. Apart from a deity expert, Fan Suixin did not think that a Blessed Realm expert could do it, let alone a half-step to the Blessed Realm expert like Chen Hao. If they dared to violate the Union's laws, even Immortal Venerable Han Mei and Immortal Venerable Yunwei would not be able to escape punishment, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Otherwise, Fan Suixin would have killed Chen Hao long ago. Would Chen Hao still be alive? Winter Plum Hall and Yunwei Hall of Limitless Immortal Palace. 3 days after Chen Hao and the others stepped into ruin number 93, the 2 Immortal Venerables heaved a long sigh of relief in their respective halls. We'll see in 3 months. This kid is really bold. He knows he's being targeted, but he still dares to enter the ruin. We made a mistake this time. I didn't expect Fan Suixin to be so ruthless. Not only did he give him the God's Eye, but he also sent out 24 people at the peak of the late-stage Blessed Realm. Immortal Venerable Han Mei and Immortal Venerable Yunwei had the same thought in their respective halls. Ruin number 93 was the training ground that they had pointed out to Chen Hao. Originally, they thought that it would be easy for Chen Hao to escape from Soul Fighter and the other's sight, given his realm of being one with everything in the world. However, they did not expect Soul Fighter to have the God's Eye and 24 people at the peak of the late-stage Blessed Realm. The 2 of them were now more concerned about Chen Hao than all the other personal disciples. How could they not pay attention to Chen Hao's situation? It was just that they wouldn't interfere. The growth of a true monstrous genius could only be stimulated by experiencing hardships and dangerous situations that ordinary people did not have. Now more than 3 days had passed and the longevity tablet that they had secretly refined for Chen Hao was safe and sound. This meant that Chen Hao must have entered the sacred cultivation ground of the palace in the ruin. At least before he came out of the ruin he would not be in any danger. His 362 success. The moment the dark energy field disappeared, Chen Hao was still thrown to the ground in a sorry state, but his dark eyes shone with a trace of surprise. It's faster than I expected, but it's still not enough. Although the speed of comprehension is getting faster, the array diagrams are getting more and more complicated. Tomorrow is the 3rd day. After the surprise, Chen Hao shook his head helplessly and threw away all kinds of distracting thoughts. His gaze once again merged with the array diagrams that appeared on the wall. He had tried his best. In these 3 months he did not stop for a moment, nor could he stop. He cultivated and comprehended madly, but until now he had only comprehended 362 array diagrams. If he wanted to completely comprehend them, he would need at least a few more months, and that was under the condition that nothing unexpected happened. It's been 3 months. I've finally broken through to the middle stage of the manifestation realm. My battle power has increased by at least 3 times. But in another palace, Soul Fighter woke up from his cultivation state. His eyes shone with a trace of excitement, but when he thought of the monstrous Qianhao, he was filled with despair. So what if his battle power increased by 3 times? He was still not Qianhao's match. In these 3 months his cultivation could be described as crazy. Apart from meditating and comprehending, he had the 4 experts at the peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm as his sparring partners. He was already able to fight evenly with any one of them. However, he knew that this was not a life-and-death battle. If it was, he would not be a match for any of the 4 people. After all, the 4 of them were first-class geniuses in Broken Heart Hall. Junior brother Wuxia, it's almost time to go out. After we go out, we will leave immediately. We won't be entangled with that kid for the time being. All right. That's what I meant. Bear with it for now. With junior brother Wuxia's talent, before he steps into the deity stage, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Not long after, a series of mysterious lights appeared out of thin air. Soul Fighter Xianxia and all the other disciples who had entered the ruins and didn't die in the trial turned into a stream of light and disappeared from the ruins. Hiss. At the same time, there was a violent spatial fluctuation in the hall where Qianhao and the others had entered. Figures appeared one after another. I've reached the late stage. The ruins in number 93 are so powerful. This is awesome. I've also advanced. Damn it, I almost lost my life. I was cursing those experts back then, but now I have to thank them. Hee, if it weren't for them, the ruins wouldn't be so powerful. As expected, you reap what you sow. Some people were excited while others were worried. They were excited because their cultivation had increased, while others were worried because their companions had died. Congratulations to all of you for successfully stepping out of the ruins. Everyone, please take out your guardian tokens. The Alliance needs to do a simple calculation. At this moment, an old man's voice sounded in the hall. Hiss. Just as everyone took out their tokens, Soul Fighter and the others quickly gathered in the hall. However, the expressions on their faces were very strange. They quickly scanned the hall, and when they confirmed that Qianhao was not among the cultivators in the hall, Soul Fighter's face flashed with extreme excitement, and he couldn't wait to look up to the sky and laugh. Chapter 447. Dead. That kid is dead. Soul Fighter clenched his fists tightly and resisted the urge to laugh. His excitement was indescribable. He did not know what had happened, but he knew that Qianhao was definitely dead. Otherwise, how could he not appear in this hall when the ruins were about to close? It's great. That kid must have suffered an unrecoverable injury when he killed our people. That's why he died in the ruins. Yes, that should be the case. Now we don't have to worry. Junior brother Soul Fighter, this kid is dead. We can continue to deal with his group. There are quite a few beauties. Don't worry, we won't leave any behind. When we get out, we will start to collect information about them. However, we need to find an opportunity and we need to be extremely discreet. While Soul Fighter and the rest were getting excited, Xianxia took in the expressions on their faces. He had been paying attention to this matter and noticed that 4 people were missing from Soul Fighter's group. However, Qianhao, who he was more optimistic about, did not come out. This made him feel a little sorry for Qianhao. It's a pity that he could perish together with 4 peak late-stage Blessed Realm experts. 584 people entered and 523 people returned. The mortality rate is about 10.4%. Congratulations everyone, you can leave now. What a pity, what a pity. After the cultivators left the hall through the teleportation door one by one, the Alliance's management staff looked at the statistics and said regretfully. Could it be that the disciples of Limitless Demon Palace did it? At that time, more than 20 of them followed Qianhao closely. When they arrived together, it was a little strange. Their behavior just now also seemed very strange. Moreover, since Qin Hao was able to be specially approved as an elite guardian by the Alliance headquarters, he definitely has combat power above the late-stage Blessed Realm. It's unlikely that he died in the ruins. What can we do even if we know about this? Qin Hao's life is really short. He died just after becoming an elite guardian. It's better to report this to the headquarters. Wait. Let's contact the person who recommended him first. Don't forget there may be exceptions in any ruins. At this moment an old man said, "What do you mean? Are you saying that this Qin Hao might be able to activate the hidden inheritance of the relic? Think about it. If those disciples of the Limitless Devil Palace killed Qin Hao, why were they so excited when they were in the hall? Obviously they had also just discovered that Qin Hao had not come out. In other words, they might not even know that Qin Hao is dead and there are only 21 of them left. Although there hasn't been any special situation in the records of ruins, no. 93 For so many years it can't be ruled out. So it's better to contact the person who recommended him first. It's impossible that such a genius doesn't have the support of a big shot. He must have a longevity plate. Alright. Qin Hao, who was immersed in cultivation, had no idea what was happening outside. However, it was clear that the worry in his heart would not come to pass. Regardless of whether the staff of the ruins reported it or not, it would not happen. This was because Immortal Venerable Han Mei and Immortal Venerable Yun Wei were already certain of his life and death. The staff of the ruins contacted Qin Hao's recommendation, Meng Yichong, through the Alliance's Internal Information Inquiry Authority. After Meng Yichong learned of this situation, he immediately went to see Immortal Venerable Han Mei and Immortal Venerable Yun Wei. In the end, the three of them arrived at ruins number 93 together. They confirmed that Qin Hao was still in the ruins, and he must have activated the restriction inheritance that had never appeared in ruins number 93. Immortal Venerable Han Mei, Immortal Venerable Yun Wei, and Meng Yichong were pleasantly surprised but also worried. After all, it wasn't that easy to obtain any restriction inheritance. Even if it was activated, it didn't mean that one could obtain it. There was also the possibility of dying in it. However, all they could do was to wait for the news. 512, 5 months. 763, 6 months. As Qin Hao comprehended more and more, he was able to float in the profound energy field more and more freely. For more than half of the 21 hours, he was able to easily control his own body without being affected by the profound energy field. Only when the formation diagrams that he hadn't comprehended started to operate, would he fall into an uncontrollable pull. This also made Qin Hao's comprehension speed faster and faster. On the 28th day of the 7th month, before the profound energy field's duration was up, Qin Hao gently landed on the ground. No matter how the profound energy field changed, it didn't affect him at all. Break for me. Ah. Chi chi chi. Following Qin Hao's excited and wild laughter, a mysterious aura suddenly rose from his body. One by one, the invisible profound energy formation diagrams spread out and quickly merged with the profound energy formation diagrams in the secret room. When Qin Hao successfully released 1,000 complete formation diagrams, rays of bright light shrouded his body. In the next moment, Qin Hao had already disappeared from the palace. Ah! I've mastered it, I've mastered it. Ah! An unbridled and wild laughter burst out from Qin Hao's mouth. 7 months, an entire 7 months, he didn't stop for a moment and didn't relax at all. Even when he didn't have the profound energy field, his mind was operating at high speed, comprehending the formation diagrams from the walls. At this moment he finally stepped out of the profound energy space. How could he not be excited? What made him even more excited was that when the restriction of the profound energy field completely disappeared from his body, Qin Hao had a feeling of soaring into the sky. He could clearly feel that his aura was violently soaring, and a dense essence energy that was almost solid gushed out uncontrollably. It shot straight into the sky as if it wanted to pierce through the firmament and connect to the starry sky. Nothing could stop it. Heaven's punishment. It actually automatically triggered Heaven's punishment? Could it be that I can trigger Heaven's punishment here? Isn't this the hall when I entered? Qin Hao, who was immersed in excitement and surprise, only now did he realize that he had directly arrived at the hall when he entered the ruins. This was a little out of his expectations. He originally thought that the ruins only opened once a year, and even if he had a special encounter he would have to wait until the next time it opened before he could leave. But he had obviously underestimated the ability of the master of the ruins. Beep 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 beep. An urgent sound suddenly sounded in the Alliance's workshop. At this moment the ruins had not opened yet and most of the staff members had already left. Only 3 elderly men were stationed here and there was only one on duty. It appeared. The elderly man on duty was immersed in meditation with his legs crossed. When he heard the urgent sound he suddenly woke up and looked in the direction of the long and narrow passageway in shock. What a strong fluctuation! How could it possibly charge out of the restriction? Could it be heaven's punishment? After the elderly man sensed the sudden tremors between heaven and earth, his eyes widened in shock. Not good, open for me. The elderly man didn't dare to hesitate any longer. He directly took out a strange token and violently poured energy into it. In an instant at the end of the long and narrow passageway, a milky white light shone. The teleportation door opened. Xianxia, come out quickly. The elderly man's voice directly sounded in the hall. As soon as he finished speaking, a stream of light rushed out of the teleportation door like lightning. At this moment, Xianxia's entire person exuded a powerful and terrifying dense aura, giving people the feeling that he wanted to break through the air and leave. Moreover, his entire aura was connected to heaven and earth. You've triggered heaven's punishment, you little brat. Quick, get out of the palace first. The elderly man was shocked beyond words. At the same time he was quite speechless at Xianxia's urgency to pee. If you want to trigger heaven's punishment, you have to get out of the palace no matter what. Can't you even wait for a few minutes? As he spoke, the elderly man waved his hand and sent out a stream of energy, wanting to envelop Xianxia. He didn't want the terrifying thunder calamity to destroy the entire palace. Heaven's punishment was penetrative. No matter how strong the palace was, it would still bombard Xianxia completely. This couldn't be explained by common sense. It had a destructive power to people and things other than the person who triggered heaven's punishment. However, what made the elderly man's eyes widen in shock was that he clearly felt that he had enveloped Xianxia, but Xianxia disappeared in an instant. He turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the palace. Senior, don't worry. I can't control it, I can't suppress it. I didn't do it on purpose. He had already disappeared, but Xianxia's voice floated beside the elderly man. What happened? He's out. At this moment 2 elderly figures quickly came out from the other rooms of the palace. They also felt the violent tremors between heaven and earth. He's out. This brat has already triggered heaven's punishment. Let's go and take a look. No way? Such a strong aura. I'm also very surprised. The elderly man on duty said with an expression of disbelief. As he spoke he had already rushed out. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In the void there was a violent fluctuation of heaven and earth energy in a radius of thousands of miles. In a moment, it condensed into tribulation clouds, surging and rolling. The energy whistled and the originally bright sunlight disappeared in an instant. A pressure that shocked the 3 elderly men rolled down from the 9 heavens. Moreover, it was increasing at an alarming speed. The 3 elderly men were all experts in the initial stage of the human immortal realm, but at this moment, when they saw Xianxia's aura before heaven's punishment arrived, they were extremely shocked. They had seen many geniuses trigger heaven's punishment. They were also rare geniuses in the past. In fact, how could they not be geniuses since they could ascend to the human immortal realm? How many people in the entire boundless land could become immortal primes? However, the pressure and range that Xianxia's heaven's punishment had just displayed were beyond their imagination. How was this heaven's punishment triggered by a half-step to the creation realm? Although it was not as strong as the heaven's punishment that they triggered when they were half-stepped to the human immortal realm, the 3 of them were certain that Xianxia's heaven's punishment was definitely dozens of times stronger than that of an ordinary half-step to the creation realm. Chapter 448. Xianxia, go further. Go further. The 3 old men cried out in shock at Xianxia from afar. Still not enough? At this moment Xianxia was already 1,000 miles away from the Alliance Palace, but even he had underestimated the power of the heavenly punishment. Hearing the old men's shouts, Qin Hao could only fly further away. Go further. Go further. After 2,000 miles, Qin Hao had just stopped when the three old men shouted again. Fuck, it's already 2,000 miles. Although my divine punishment's aura has covered a few thousand miles, it shouldn't be able to hurt the palace, right? Qin Hao muttered in his heart and flew away again. He could feel that the divine punishment's aura had reached its peak and could descend at any time. At this moment he should be on guard, but under the panicked shouts of the three old men, he could only go further away. 4,000 miles. In one breath, Qin Hao ran for another 2,000 miles before stopping again. When he didn't hear the shouts of the three old men, he finally let out a long sigh of relief. He looked at the void proudly, and his essence, qi and soul instantly became more condensed, shooting straight up into the sky. Rumble. The wind and clouds changed and thunder rumbled. The divine punishment had yet to descend, but the terrifying energy fluctuations of heaven and earth produced a terrifying sound of rolling thunder. The dark tribulation clouds spanned thousands of miles and madly gathered in the void above Qin Hao. They became darker and denser. In a few breaths of time, the color changed as Qin Hao had expected. Streaks of dazzling seven-colored light were born from the dark tribulation clouds, enveloping the surrounding thousands of miles under the dazzling seven-colored light. Creak, creak, creak. Crack, crack, crack. The mountains and rivers within 3,000 miles all made strange sounds at this moment. The mountains trembled and the rivers rolled. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth contained in them could not withstand the terrifying suction of the tribulation clouds and surged into the void. Bang, bang, bang. Within a radius of nearly 10,000 miles, the scattered monsters looked at the sky in horror at this moment. They let out terrified howls and fled into the distance. Seven-colored tribulation clouds. It's actually a seven-colored tribulation cloud. From the start, the three old men were already shocked by Qin Hao's powerful heavenly punishment aura. But now they were even more shocked. It wasn't rare for the genius disciples of the boundless world to be able to trigger the rainbow tribulation cloud. Even some super geniuses who had accumulated a lot of experience could do it. However, those were the early stages of half-step golden core, half-step nascent soul, half-step incarnation, and so on. Half-step creation were extremely rare. After the human celestial stage, they were almost extinct. No wonder he's so strong. As long as he can survive this divine punishment within the same realm, his battle prowess will definitely be able to surpass the top prodigies of the elite academy. Crack. When the tribulation cloud had condensed to a size of several thousand feet, it began to spin at a terrifying speed like a millstone. The first heavenly punishment also erupted at this moment. The rainbow-colored lightning transformed into a pillar of light that reached the heavens, bringing with it a terrifying heavenly might as it descended from the heavens. Chi-chi-chi-chi. Rumble. Qin Hao's tiny but tall and straight figure was instantly submerged in the pillar of light. A terrifying explosion sounded within a radius of several thousand feet. Mountains collapsed and everything was annihilated. Ah! At this moment Qin Hao let out a loud roar. His physical body and soul were completely unleashed with Qin Hao's roar. He resisted the heavenly punishment head-on. Pain, endless pain, as if his physical body was about to collapse and his soul was about to be torn apart. It crazily attacked every nerve of Qin Hao's. Pain, endless pain beyond any pain that Qin Hao had ever experienced. Almost instantly, under the magical heavenly punishment, countless thin blood vessels burst out of every pore on Qin Hao's body like a blood mist. His soul was shaking violently. In Qin Hao's perception, every cell in his physical body seemed to be ruptured, and his soul showed signs of shattering. Strong. So strong. Endure. Hold it in. Endure. Qin Hao, who had experienced the heavenly punishment 3 times, would never have imagined that the heavenly punishment this time would be so terrifying. In the previous 3 heavenly punishments, although he was many times stronger than ordinary cultivators, he could easily pass through them without any suspense. However, this time it was just the beginning, and Qin Hao already felt as if his body and soul were about to be destroyed. The pain was so unbearable that even his mind was slightly dazed. Qin Hao did not know that this was because he had completed the fusion with the old god. What was the heavenly punishment? It was a punishment for practitioners who went against the heavens. How heaven-defying was the fusion between Qin Hao and the old god? He was only a half step to the creation realm, but he could condense a middle-grade spiritual treasure set that surpassed a superior-grade spiritual treasure set. He could instantly kill an expert at the peak of the late-stage creation realm. How could the heavenly punishment not be strong? Of course, more importantly, the old god did not completely conceal his aura this time. But I don't believe that I can't withstand it. Crack, crack, crack. Xianxia gritted his teeth and focused his mind to the extreme. He maintained his consciousness and risked his life to resist the heavenly punishment. Crazy, crazy. This kid actually chose to resist such a terrifying heavenly punishment. What guts! Many people only see the halo of a genius, but they don't know how much the genius has sacrificed. How many people would dare to do such a dangerous thing? At least I can't do it. If I'm not careful, my body and soul will be destroyed. Yes, unbelievable. How many lightning strikes do you think he can withstand? I don't know. But I know that no matter how many strikes, as long as he can successfully pass through them, it will be difficult for him to find an opponent in the creation realm. If he is given some time to grow to the late-stage creation realm, even we will have to think twice. Is it that exaggerated? We are in the ranks of celestial supremes. Any one of us can casually kill 100 people at the peak of the late-stage creation realm. Don't forget about the top monsters in the elite academy. Do you think that Xianxia is inferior to them? The three old men were thousands of miles away. They stared at Xianxia from afar in disgust and shock. The first lightning strike lasted for a short minute, but in Xianxia's heart, it felt as long as 1,000,000,000 years. When the light pillar disappeared, he almost collapsed to the ground. But he knew that he could not relax. He could not collapse. Nothing could describe Xianxia's madness, and no one could be as decisive as Xianxia. In an instant, the vast and majestic outline of the great Tao resounded in Xianxia's mind. Surging inner yuan spun wildly in his body, healing the wounds deep in his body and soul. At this moment, the essence, energy, and spirit that had withered like a flower slowly reappeared from the depths of Xianxia's soul. It was weak, but it became more condensed and pure. It contained an unyielding will and a sharp edge. Like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon, in the senses of the three old men, Xianxia, who had been in a terrible state after just one lightning strike, seemed to have been reborn. An unyielding will was born from the inside out. Accepting the universe in his heart, looking down on the heavens. The second strike, the third strike, the fourth strike, the fifth strike. The merciless heavenly punishment continued. The four old men's eyes widened more and more. Every time they thought that Xianxia would not be able to withstand their attacks, Xianxia seemed to undergo a metamorphosis that happened within a short 2 to 3 minutes. This was absolutely incredible. When the 9 levels of heavenly punishment ended, Xianxia was surrounded by colorful light. When they confirmed that Xianxia had withstood the heavenly punishment, the three old men were a little stunned. Their eyes almost fell to the ground. What kind of monstrous existence was this? Seniors, farewell. In an instant, under the nourishment of the mysterious energy after surviving the heavenly punishment, Xianxia recovered to his peak state. He cupped his fists and said to the three old men who were still in a daze. Then he tore open the void. Before the 3 celestial primes could say anything, he had slipped away. I haven't passed the message to him yet. This kid is too bold. He just entered the creation realm and he dares to tear open the void. If he has the ability, why wouldn't he dare? I've learned something new this time. I didn't expect the heavenly punishment, a top monster, to be so powerful. Even I feel that I've benefited from watching him. Yes. The world of monstrous geniuses is not something we can imagine. Well, he's gone. Yeah, he's fine. We don't have to worry about him. We'll report his situation to the headquarters and inform Meng Yicheng. Boom. The moment he tore open the void, streams of true yuan rose around Xianxia's body. His powerful soul perception spread out. This is your first time tearing open the void to fly. Careful. Remember to keep your mind locked on the void barrier. Otherwise, once you lose the lock, you'll be lost in the chaotic void and can't get out. That means death. Old God said in Xianxia's mind. Don't be too nervous. Your physical body is strong. There's no need to waste so much true yuan to protect yourself. This way you can last longer. Yes, that's enough. Pay attention to the energy turbulence. Be careful. The star fragments that shuttled through the chaotic void like meteorites and the energy turbulence that suddenly erupted without any warning were the biggest obstacles to flying in the chaotic void. They were extremely dangerous. The flying speed here is obviously not very fast, but it has the effect of shrinking space. This should be the reason for the difference in the laws of space, right? Qin Hao's mind was firmly locked outside the chaotic void barrier. He said excitedly. That's right. The boundless land, which is the space of the boundless star, is like the storage space of a cultivator compared to the chaotic void. Although it's not that exaggerated, if you move 10 feet here you'll move 1,000 feet in the boundless star. It's equivalent to your flying speed increasing 100 times. However, with your current cultivation you won't be able to last long. That's true. The energy consumption is too fast. Hearing old God's words, Qin Hao agreed. Just as they were talking, Qin Hao felt that 30% of his energy had been consumed. At most he could hold on for 2 minutes. That was his limit. He had to have at least 30% of his true yuan left. Otherwise, if he didn't even have the power to break the barrier, he could only die in the chaotic void. Chapter 449. Phew. In less than 2 minutes Qin Hao came out with a pale face, but his eyes were shining with excitement. Fast. So fast. More than half of the 4-hour journey was completed in 2 minutes. For other creation realm experts, I'm afraid this is only used when escaping. It's not suitable for long-distance travel. First, it consumes a lot of energy. Second, it takes a long time for them to recover. But for me it doesn't matter. Qin Hao said proudly in his mind. If he fully recovered, it would only take 15 minutes for him to recover to his peak state. Even if it was a long-distance journey, it was still worth it. Qin Hao didn't know that other early-stage creation realm experts could hold on for a few seconds. How could they be as crazy as him? Even an expert at the peak of the late-stage creation realm could hardly last more than a minute. Let's recover first. We have to hurry. It's been 7 months. Xiao Shui and the rest must be waiting anxiously. Qin Hao's pitch-black eyes flashed with excitement and anticipation as he spoke. At this moment he was not worried that Xiao Shui and the rest would think that he had died. The reason was simple. When he came out, the old man from the Alliance quickly opened the teleportation door and called out his name. He knew it. They must have known that he didn't die in the relic. How could Venerable Han Mei and Venerable Yun Wei not know? The creation realm is indeed slower to recover. But I'm afraid that my strength has increased by more than 10 times. Especially this time, heaven's punishment has raised my sword principle will to the peak of the 7th heaven, and the sword soul prototype has been condensed. As for combat power, I have nothing to fear when I meet Soul Fighter and the rest. Less than an hour later, Qin Hao let out a long sigh of relief and recovered to his peak state. He sensed the energy contained in his body and thought to himself. Immediately he tore the space again. A minute later, Qin Hao appeared at the edge of a city. Excuse me, where do I need to be teleported to reach Winter Plum Hall of the Wuxia Immortal Palace? Qin Hao came to the teleportation hall of the Alliance and asked the staff. Limitless Immortal Palace's Han Mei Hall? You need to teleport to Blue Flash City. We can't go there directly. You can teleport to Consonance City first. From Consonance City you can teleport to Blue Flash City. Little brother, you want to join Limitless Immortal Palace? With your age and cultivation base, there shouldn't be any problem. Give me the Guardian token. The fee to go to Blue Flash City is 100,000 high-grade primordial crystal stones. The staff member was an old man. He sized up Qin Hao and said with admiration. It was rare to see someone at Qin Hao's age enter the manifestation realm. In particular, Qin Hao's appearance and aura made him look like an outstanding genius disciple. All right. Qin Hao didn't say much. He took out the token and handed it to the old man. At the same time he pretended to take the primal crystal stones. A special token? Sorry little brother, your teleportation is free. Is it free? Thank you very much. Qin Hao said with a smile. He had only heard about it from the old man at the ruins. He didn't know if it was useful for teleportation. Moreover, the elite guardian seemed to be very important. Qin Hao couldn't say it directly. Now, hearing the old man say that it was a special token, Qin Hao's guess was confirmed. This old man obviously couldn't see his true identity through the token. You're welcome. Please. Out. He even broke through to the manifestation realm, and his strength is comparable to a half-step human immortal. When Chen Hao left the Ancient Ruins Alliance, Meng Yicheng received the news from the three old men at the ruins. 7 months later, Meng Yicheng wasn't surprised. After all, Chen Hao had opened the hidden legacy of the ruins. But he had just come out. How did he reach the manifestation realm? And he was evaluated by the three old men to be comparable to a half-step human immortal? I didn't expect him to break through to the manifestation realm so quickly. The plan can't keep up with the changes. There's still a month before the Elite Academy selection competition. If he participates, there won't be a problem. I'll inform the two celestial primes first. Thinking of this, Meng Yicheng instructed the staff at the supply station and left the supply station. In his opinion, Chen Hao would enter the Elite Academy selection competition sooner or later. If Chen Hao hadn't encountered problems in the ruins, he would have made it this year. Because when he rushed to the ruins with Celestial Primes Han Mei and Yun Wei, Meng Yicheng already knew that several members of Chen Hao's proud Sky Guardian team had already stepped into the manifestation realm. And they were all listed by the two Celestial Primes as disciples to participate in this year's selection. It was a pity that Chen Hao had activated the hidden legacy of the ruins. In his opinion, the chances of Chen Hao making it in time were very small. After all, it was impossible to trigger divine punishment in the ruins. But he didn't expect that in the last month, Chen Hao would come out and advance to the manifestation realm. Why aren't they back yet? With their strength, they shouldn't be unable to solve it. It's been 2 months. In the main hall of Limitless Celestial Palace's Han Mei Hall, the graceful Celestial Primes Yun Wei sat cross-legged. She seemed to be worried as she stared at Celestial Primes Han Mei, who was sitting opposite her. You ask me, but who should I ask? You're in charge of the Eastern Continent. You should have been ruthless back then, but now? Weren't you in the Eastern Continent back then? If you weren't satisfied with my decision, why didn't you mention it? Now you're blaming me. Celestial Primes Yun Wei heard Han Mei's words and said, could I have made the decision back then? I was specially approved by the Palace Master, but I also sealed my cultivation. I have no right to interfere with anything. Celestial Primes Han Mei also said unhappily. At this moment, if the disciples of the two halls saw this, they would be extremely surprised. Who would have thought that the two Celestial Primes would be quarreling here? But we sent out 40 experts at the peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm. Together with Xiao Wu and a dozen others, they should have solved it, right? If they don't come back now, I'm afraid something has happened. Let's wait a little longer. Maybe they'll go back to the secular world to visit their families. If they don't come back in half a month, you can apply to the Palace Master to have a look. That's the only way. I hope it's nothing serious. Report. Just when the two Celestial Primes were having a headache, a disciple's shout came from outside the door. Celestial Primes Han Mei frowned slightly. Under normal circumstances, when she was in a discussion, she would wait until the guests left even if she had something to say. In particular, when someone like Celestial Primes Yun Wei came, no one could disturb her. What's the matter? When the door of the hall opened, Celestial Primes Han Mei stared at the newcomer and said, Palace Master Senior Meng Yicheng, the Alliance Celestial Primes wants to see you. What? Celestial Primes Han Mei and Celestial Primes Yun Wei stood up immediately. Celestial Primes Han Mei had told them to report Meng Yicheng's arrival immediately. Once Meng Yicheng came, it would be news about Chen Hao. Invite him in immediately. Yes. Huff. The void 100,000 miles away from Winter Plum Hall of Wuxia Immortal Palace was suddenly torn apart. A figure was ejected from the void and let out a long sigh before landing on a mountain peak. The Wuxia Immortal world is vast and boundless. This vastness technique is really incredible. Just Winter Plum Hall alone is able to guard a radius of 1 million miles. There isn't even a trace of a monster's aura. Instead, the heaven and earth spiritual chi is getting denser and denser. Chen Hao sat down cross-legged. Wuxia Immortal Palace has countless halls. How big is that? The top forces are indeed beyond my imagination. Chen Hao arrived at Blue Flash City, the city closest to Winter Plum Hall, through the teleportation array. He had already torn the void 13 times and flew for about 400,000 miles. However, he still didn't see Winter Plum Hall's shadow. Qin Hao needed more than 15 minutes to recover every time he tore the void. He had already spent more than 4 hours. There's still about 100,000 miles left. With my speed, I'll need at least 2 hours to reach there. I wonder if Xiao Shui and the others are in Winter Plum Hall. They should have stepped into the creation realm, right? Qin Hao's lips curled into a smile. As he got closer, his mood became better. It had been more than 9 months since he had parted ways with Qin Shui and the others in Dian City. Although it was a short period of time for cultivators, it was different for young men and women like Qin Hao. One day apart felt like 3 years. They knew that I was trapped in the ruins, so they might have returned to the eastern continent. It's been 4 months, so they should be back. I'll recover first. When he thought of this, Qin Hao entered the state of cultivation and recovery again. Who are you? This is the territory of Wuji Immortal Palace's Winter Plum Hall. Outsiders can't wait here. Are you Qin Hao? When Qin Hao tore the void and flew for a full 2 minutes, he stepped out of the chaotic space. Just as he was about to enter the state of cultivation and recovery, a figure suddenly tore the void and appeared above Qin Hao. However, before he could finish his sentence, the person's tone suddenly changed when he saw Qin Hao's appearance. He seemed to be very surprised. That's right. Senior, I'm here to... I know. The palace leader and the others have been waiting for you for a long time. But I didn't expect you to come so quickly. Brother Qin, let me take you away. The person looked to be in his 40s or 50s, but his actual age must be hundreds of years old. His cultivation stage was at the later stage of the human celestial stage. Thank you. Senior, does the palace leader know that I'm coming? Don't call me senior, I don't deserve it. My name is Zhou Xian. If you don't mind, you can call me senior brother. Hehe. The palace leader gave an order 4 hours ago, saying that you might come in 2 days. He asked us to keep an eye out. By the way, Senior Celestial Yunwei and a human celestial from the Alliance Meng Yichong are also waiting for you. Okay. Qin Hao didn't want to think about how it was so coincidental, so he replied directly. Zhou Xian sent out a ray of energy to envelop Qin Hao. Then he tore the void apart and appeared above Winter Plum Hall in less than 3 minutes. This is Winter Plum Hall, Brother Qin, follow me. Qin Hao was a little surprised as he stared at the vast and magnificent palace that spanned thousands of miles. The surrounding spiritual qi of heaven and earth was extremely dense, and it was shrouded in multicolored light. Apparently, this was a holy land that was created by heaven and earth. And this was just one of the main halls of the Wuji Celestial Palace. Chapter 450. Greetings, Masters. Greetings, Senior Meng. Qin Hao was directly brought into the magnificent hall. 3 unscrupulous probing divine senses firmly locked onto Qin Hao. Meng Yichong was fine, he was just curious about Qin Hao's situation, but Senior Immortal Han Mei and Senior Immortal Yun Wei did not have any scruples. They directly released their pressure to test Qin Hao's strength after he stepped into the creation realm. Unfortunately, Qin Hao's expression did not change in the slightest in the face of their pressure. He cupped his fists and bowed to the 3 of them. Amazing. Little guy, it seems that this trip to the relic is very rewarding. Even a half-step human immortal would be affected by our pressure. But you didn't react at all? Senior Immortal Yun Wei jumped in front of Qin Hao, like a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law. The more she looked at him, the more she liked him. There was a charming smile on her charming face. How did you get here from the relic in just 8 hours? Senior Immortal Han Mei also looked a little surprised, staring at Qin Hao. According to the information Meng Yichong obtained from the ruins of the Alliance, Qin Hao had only left the ruins for 8 hours. They estimated that even if Qin Hao didn't stop, it would still take him 3 days to reach the ruins, even if he didn't stop. This was also taking into account Qin Hao's abnormal physique. But now he had arrived at Han Mei Hall in just 8 hours. Hee masters, of course I rushed here as fast as I could. I was afraid that you would be worried about me for 7 months, so I rushed here as soon as I got out of the relic. I didn't expect you to know. Senior Meng, this time I have to thank you again. Also, I have to thank you for saving me a lot of primal crystal stones. Qin Hao said without the slightest restraint. After he finished speaking, without waiting for the 3 of them to ask again, he directly changed the topic and said, That's right, masters, where are little Snow and little Wu? Have they returned to the eastern continent? Venerable Han Mei and Venerable Yun Wei frowned slightly. Obviously, they were a little unhappy with Chen Hao's deliberate concealment, but they couldn't say anything. We were going to wait for you to come back, but 2 months ago something happened in the eastern continent, and it was related to your star-plucking sect. So we sent Little Snow, Little Wu Yu, Little Yen and Proud Heaven to the eastern continent, but they haven't come back yet. We're worried about that. Venerable Han Mei said. Something happened? What happened? Chen Hao asked with a frown. It's news from the Ling Tian sect. During the last inter-sect competition, the Origin Gate was punished. Who would have thought that the Origin Gate would betray the immortal Tao and join the limitless Devil Palace? Relying on their powerful foundation, they joined forces with the Eastern Continent's Devil Tao cultivation world and opened the barrier seal between the immortal Tao and the Devil Tao, triggering a war between the immortal Tao and the Devil Tao. Venerable Yun Wei said, "It can't be. Master, can't you do something about it? If we could, we would have done it long ago. In the cultivation world, there are 3 Taos in all regions outside the central continent. Once the barrier between the immortal Tao and the Devil Tao is broken, it means that the major forces in the region will be reshuffled, and the territories of the 3 Taos will be redistributed. No celestial venerable from the Immortal Palace, the Devil Palace or the Demon Palace can interfere. Each force can only send 40 creation stage experts to guard against the war between the Immortal Tao and the Devil Tao. Only the direct disciples from the Eastern Continent are not affected, provided that their cultivation base is below the celestial venerable realm. 1 month is enough to settle the situation, but Little Wu and the others still haven't returned." Venerable Yun Wei said with a frown. "Can't you get any news about them now?" Chen Hao asked. "No. The entire Eastern Continent's 3 Taos are blocked by the 3 major palaces, and no news can be sent out. Unless the cultivators from the Eastern Continent bring out the news. You don't have to worry about this. No matter what the outcome is, it'll happen in a few days. They should be back soon. Just now, President Meng told us that you're already an elite guardian of the Alliance. You don't have to sign up to participate in the selection competition of the Elite Academy of the Alliance. No way. Masters, since the Yuan Gate started this, the Xianxia sect will definitely bear the brunt of it. I have to go back immediately," Chen Hao said in a low voice. Although he was a little curious about the Elite Academy of the Alliance, this was clearly not the time to be curious. He was very clear that since the Yuan Gate had betrayed the Alliance, the Xianxia sect would definitely be targeted the most. Not to mention that Qin Shui and the others had already returned, and the situation was unknown. In the Xianxia sect, there were still many people that he could not abandon. It had been 3 years. He did not dare to say that his younger brother and sister had definitely entered the Eastern Continent's cultivation world, but he was basically certain. What would happen if the Great War of the Immortals and Demons really broke out? Chen Hao did not dare to think about it. But his intuition told him that he had to go back immediately. "What are you worried about? Although we can't get any news about them, we can confirm their safety. Moreover, they have all advanced to the manifestation realm and signed up to participate in the selection competition of the Elite Academy. Within a month they should rush back. Even if they don't, it's fine. They can participate next year. This year their goal is just to train themselves. There is not much hope. But you are different. The earlier you enter the Elite Academy, the earlier you can receive the best training in the entire boundless continent. If you don't make it back in time, your losses will be great. It doesn't matter. I am free to do whatever I want. I don't want to join any faction. The Elite Academy has no restrictions. It will only provide the best training environment and give the best treatment. It does not belong to any faction but is shared by the Alliance. This is the cradle of all the top experts in the entire boundless continent, and also the future hope of the boundless continent. Brother Chin, you have to consider carefully. If you are late by a year, your losses will be great. Especially at your age, it is the best time to train. Meng Yichong said. Hearing Meng Yichong's words, Qin Hao frowned slightly and muttered to himself. But soon after he shook his head. His pitch-black eyes shone with determination as he said, I have to go back. Within a month, if I can return, I will participate. If I can't, I will wait until next year. I know my own situation best. Thank you, Senior Meng. Master, do you have a way for me to return at the fastest speed? The star-picking sect is my sect. If my sect is in trouble, I have no reason to not return for my own future. Moreover, Zhou Xian and the rest are also there. What if they encounter danger? Please help me. Venerable Immortal Han Mei and Venerable Immortal Yun Wei were indeed thinking for Qin Hao. Although they were worried about the situation of Qin Shui and the rest, and knew that they must have met with trouble with 40 experts at the peak of the late stage of the manifestation realm, they could at least guarantee their safety. Hence, they did not want Qin Hao to rush back in case he delayed the Elite Academy's qualifiers. But they did not expect Qin Hao to be so determined. All right, then go and return quickly. No matter what, you have to bring them back within a month. Do you understand? Venerable Han Mei said. I will try my best. Let's go, follow me to the teleportation circle. First we will go to the Yunwei Hall. It will lead directly to the Emerald Smoke City. The Yunwei Hall was the hall of the Wuji Immortal Palace that was in charge of the Eastern Continent. It had the teleportation circle that led directly to the Emerald Smoke City, which was the closest to the Eastern Continent. Qin Hao, the two Venerable Immortals, and Meng Yicheng went through the teleportation circle of the Han Mei Hall and directly arrived at the Yunwei Hall. Venerable Immortal Yun Wei sent Qin Hao into the teleportation circle. The people of the proud heavens should be with Lin Hao in the Emerald Smoke City. They are not disciples from the Eastern Continent and cannot enter. They can only provide support from outside. After you reach the Emerald Smoke City, contact them first. Don't go on two separate paths and miss them. Venerable Immortal Yun Wei instructed. Understood. A bright light flashed and Qin Hao disappeared from the teleportation circle. After seeing Qin Hao leave, the three of them shook their heads. They were also touched. Most of the cultivators focused on cultivation. Even they were no exception. They all had an extremely selfish side. But the feeling that Qin Hao gave them was completely different. It was not likely that there would be any great danger, but Qin Hao would rather give up the Elite Academy's qualifiers and go back. It doesn't matter even if it's a year later. If he goes back, there should be no problem. The combat power of a half-step human immortal. I think it's more than that. Venerable Immortal Yun Wei said softly. This kid, even we can't see through him. He's getting more and more mysterious, so we shouldn't interfere too much with him. When we first entered the ruins, who would have thought that he could kill 4 peak late-stage manifestation realm cultivators? And the other party was in a group of 4. This time he triggered the heavenly punishment as soon as he stepped out of the ruins, which is also beyond our expectations. In less than 8 hours he rushed to the Han Mei Hall from the ruins, which is even more unbelievable. He just stepped into the manifestation realm. Even a half-step human immortal can't achieve this speed. But he did it. I can't understand. I really can't understand how he did it. Venerable Immortal Yun Wei said. The two of them did not hide anything from Meng Yicheng. Since Meng Yicheng began to help Qin Hao, he must have thought about Qin Hao in all aspects. Just like them. Although Meng Yicheng did it purely to form a good relationship with Qin Hao and gather providence. But the nature was the same. Buzz. In Emerald Smoke City, the headquarters of the Emerald Smoke Chamber of Commerce. In the huge palace complex, Lin Hao, Huyan Aobua, the Lung sisters, and the others were cultivating in their own cultivation rooms when they suddenly received a message from the Guardian's communication device. It's done? Everyone hurriedly exited their cultivation state and connected the communication device. They had been waiting for 2 months and were equally anxious. At this moment they thought that Qin Shui and the others had returned, so they were naturally happy. Where are you? I'm at the core teleportation array. Boss. It's boss. Boss, you're back, huh? Boss, we'll go there immediately. To everyone's surprise, Qin Hao's voice was heard after the call was connected. At this moment they were pleasantly surprised. Requesting a recommendation ticket. Everyone has a free recommendation ticket every day. I don't dare to ask for a monthly ticket, I only ask for a recommendation ticket. Chapter 451. Let's go. Hiss hiss hiss. Huyan Aobua, the Lung sisters, and the others rushed out of the cultivation room as fast as they could. They directly raised their speed to the peak and flew out. Even though they couldn't fly in Emerald Smoke City, they were all first-class geniuses. In addition, they had all entered the legendary Berserk Demon Realm, and after half a year of cultivation, they had all stepped into the creation realm. How fast could they be? At least in Emerald Smoke City, they were definitely super awesome existences. This was especially so for the Ling sisters who had telepathy. They already had an absolute advantage in speed. Now that the two of them had merged into one, even Huyan Aobua and the others were slightly inferior. Brother Hao, from afar the beautiful sister's eyes locked onto Chen Hao, who was the only dazzling figure in the crowd. They hadn't seen each other for more than 9 months since they parted ways in Great Yen City. At this moment, Chen Hao seemed even more spirited and handsome, like a crane in a flock of chickens, perhaps because of the advancement of his realm. Huan Huan Lei. Looking at the two beautiful sisters who suddenly stopped in front of him, their expressions both excited and shy, Chen Hao felt that his eyes were very bright after experiencing 7 months of darkness. He couldn't help but reach out and pull the two sisters into his embrace, hugging them tightly. Only then did he let go of their fragrant and delicate bodies. Boss. You finally came out. Boss. Huyan Aobua Meng Xiao First King Jing Tiangang Bailey Lianqing Zhang Rongrong Gao Dezhuang, and Lin Hao all came in front of Chen Hao. When Chen Hao saw the gazes of the people around him, he waved his hand and released a barrier seal. Not bad, all of you have reached the blessed realm. Where Jiang Hai and Huang Wenshu. Chen Hao's lips curled into a smile as he swept his gaze over the crowd. The two of them entered the eastern continent with the sisters-in-law as Palace Master Yun Wei of the Limitless Immortal Palace. Boss, when did you come out? Huyan Ao Bo stared at Chen Hao with a face full of surprise. At that moment, Chen Hao's aura was that of a manifestation realm martial artist. Even though Chen Hao had restrained his aura by a lot, he knew that his current boss was definitely an extremely powerful existence. After all of them knew that Chen Hao had not returned from the ruins 4 months ago. Furthermore, there was a high possibility that he had killed 4 manifestation realm martial artists at the peak of the late stage when he was in the ruins. I just came out. How's Xiao Shui and the others? Any news? Chen Hao asked. 2 months ago when we arrived here together, they had already entered the eastern continent. Right now, no one is able to send out any information regarding the eastern continent's 3 paths. Even if the direct descendants of the eastern continent returned, no one has come out. We have no way of obtaining any information. That's right. No matter if it's the Devil Dao, the Immortal Dao, or the Demon Dao, those who went in to investigate did not come out. The situation might be more serious. Now the cultivators gathered here are basically from the eastern continent. It's just that they don't know what's going on and don't dare to return. Some people speculate that it's very likely that a war between the Immortal Dao, the Devil Dao, and the Demon Dao has already broken out in the eastern continent. Unfortunately, we can't help, Lin Hao said. Hearing their words, Chen Hao frowned slightly. When we came here, we met 40 elites at the peak of the late stage of the blessed realm sent by the Limitless Demon Palace. A few of them were with Soul Fighter. In the 2 months before we came here, they had been looking for a chance to attack us. Fortunately, Aunt Shue's perception was extremely strong, and we didn't give them any chance. We even killed 2 of them. Boss, are you going back? Yes. Don't wait here anymore. All of you return to the central continent and listen to the arrangements of the 2 immortal supremes. If a war between the Immortal Dao, the Devil Dao, and the Demon Dao really breaks out, we don't know when we'll be able to come out. Don't waste time here. This is an order. Chen Hao said coldly when he saw the expressions on everyone's faces. Brother Hao. The 2 beautiful sisters held tightly onto Chen Hao's arm at the same time. Don't worry. I've prepared these things for you. Unless you're in a life or death situation, no one can use them. These are all refined according to your characteristics. They're middle-grade spirit artifact sets, but their functions are not inferior to high-grade spirit artifacts. Hiss hiss hiss. As Chen Hao spoke, the storage rings that he had prepared before entering the ruins were placed in front of the beautiful sisters and the others. Huyan Aobua and the others were stunned. Middle-grade spirit artifact sets. What kind of concept was that? They suspected that they had misheard, but they knew that it was definitely true. After all, Chen Hao would never give them a middle-grade spirit artifact. The difference of one word was like heaven and earth. Aobua, take these things. If you lack primal crystals or want to buy something, just auction it off. It'll be enough for you to use for a long time. Also, members of the Proud Heavens sect, you can start developing. Just keep a close eye on it. If it's worth your effort, nurture it with all your might. Our reliance on the Wuji Immortal Palace is only temporary. Do you understand what I mean? Hearing Qin Hao's words, everyone's expressions changed slightly. Huyan Aobua, the first king, and the other men's eyes lit up, and they transmitted their voices to each other. Understood. Good. I'm going. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he removed the barrier seal and gently grasped the beautiful sister's tender hands. Under everyone's gaze, he walked into the crowd and headed straight for the teleportation hall. Qin Hao. Isn't that Qin Hao from the star-picking sect? He's actually reached the creation realm. No wonder he's the top cultivator among the younger generation of the immortal Dao in the eastern mainland. When Qin Hao stepped into the teleportation hall, countless cultivators focused their attention on Qin Hao. At this moment, the cultivators who could be here were basically cultivators from the 3 Daos of the eastern mainland, and most of them were at the primordial soul or creation realm. However, after learning about the current situation in the eastern mainland, not many dared to enter. Qin Hao. At this moment, a figure in the crowd exclaimed in surprise when he saw Qin Hao. Qin Hao found the name vaguely familiar and could not help but turn around to take a look. It was Lone Star from the Floating Mist sect. He's also reached the peak of the early stage creation realm. Qin Hao was a little surprised. Although Lone Star was a rare genius in the eastern mainland compared to him, there was still a huge gap between them. However, after not seeing him for several years, Lone Star's speed of advancement was actually not inferior to Qin Hao's. Moreover, Qin Hao's sharp senses told him that Lone Star's aura was definitely not something an ordinary early-stage creation realm expert could compare to. He was not weaker than Lin Hao. It's been a long time. Are you going back to the eastern mainland? Lone Star's eyes shone brightly, and he seemed to have changed his quiet personality. He actually stepped out of the crowd and quickly arrived in front of Qin Hao. Lone Star. The #1 genius of the Floating Mist sect, Lone Star. Amazing, he's also reached the peak of the early-stage creation realm. When Gu Xing was exposed in front of everyone, there were people who immediately recognized him. Qin Hao felt the fighting spirit in Lone Star's eyes, and the corners of his lips curled up slightly as he said with a smile, "Why, you don't dare to go back?" Of course, he knew where Lone Star's fighting spirit came from. Any genius, as long as they had the chance, would climb back up from where they fell. He had once lost to Qin Hao, and now that they met again and his realm was slightly higher than Qin Hao's, he naturally wanted to fight to his heart's content with Qin Hao. It's not that I don't dare to. It's just that there's nothing in the eastern mainland that I'm worried about. Lone Star's expression did not change as he spoke in a low voice. As a disciple of the Floating Mist sect, aren't you worried about the safety of the Floating Mist sect? I've already repaid their kindness by earning kismet for them. Some people are not worthy of respect and are not worth risking your life for. What the sect leader did to you was not my intention, and it has nothing to do with me. I just want to fight you fair and square. Can I? Lone Star went straight to the point. I'm sorry, I don't have time to waste. Besides, you still need to work hard. Those are all my underlings. If you can win against any one of them, I'll fight you when I come out. Qin Hao said with a smile. As he spoke, he pointed at Huyan Aobua and the rest who were staring at him, and at the same time he sent a few words to them. Gu Xing faintly furrowed his eyebrows as if he was extremely displeased with Qin Hao's disdain. However, when he saw Huyan Aobua and the rest, his expression changed slightly. Soon after, he took a deep breath and said, "All right, when you come out, you will definitely fight me." I hope so. Qin Hao's figure flashed, and he walked in front of the 12 experts who were guarding the teleportation portal. These 12 people were all in the human immortal realm, and they were from the Immortal Path, Demon Path and Demon Path. Obviously, these were the experts sent by the 3 great palaces. Qin Hao walked directly in front of the 4 people from the Immortal Path, took out his identification card and said, "I'm a disciple of the Immortal Path of the Eastern Continent. Are you sure you want to go back?" One of the old men took Qin Hao's identification card and said after glancing at it. "I'm sure," Qin Hao said in a low voice. "Good job." The old man praised. Then he took Qin Hao's identification card and turned to look at the people from the Demon Path and Demon Path, and said, "Do you want to check? He's just in the beginning stage of the creation realm, what's there to check?" If a great battle breaks out, you'll just be courting death. Go. Even if you die, your people will die first. The old man from the immortal path said disdainfully. Then he looked at Qin Hao and said, Go. You've reached the creation realm at such a young age, don't be rash. If a great battle breaks out, the ones who will lead the battle will be the peak of the late-stage creation realm and the half-step human immortal realm. The three realms are in chaos now, and we can't predict where you'll be teleported to. Be careful and good luck. Thank you for the reminder, Senior. Qin Hao said apologetically, and then stepped into the teleportation portal not far away. Rays of dazzling light flashed and Qin Hao disappeared from the portal. In the eastern continent, a milky white door of light suddenly appeared in the void above a stretch of mountain peaks. The door of light disappeared, and a figure landed on a mountain peak as fast as lightning. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for me at Chidian. Com. Chapter 452. The Demon Realm. The Middle Continent's three realms were not divided. The auras of the immortal, demon and demon realms would only appear in places like the Wuxia Immortal Palace. However, the Eastern Continent's three realms were clearly separated. At this moment, the area where Qin Hao appeared was filled with dense demonic qi for thousands of miles. However, the auras of the immortal and demon realms were also contained within, although they were relatively weaker. It seems that the three realms are truly in chaos. This should be the demon realm's territory, but the immortal and demon qi are mixed in as well. This must be caused by the collapse of the barrier seal between the three realms. Qin Hao restrained his aura and sensed the situation within a radius of nearly 10,000 miles. No wonder not many cultivators dare to come back. If it were other immortal Dao disciples, they would have been killed here before they could even return to their sects. However, it doesn't matter to me. The Heart Sutra that merged with all things in the world was one of the reasons. Secondly, he had Itota, a pure demon Dao cultivator. Back then, Itota had only been at the nascent soul stage, but now, under the old god's guidance, the strength of his soul had reached the half-step creation stage. Would it not be easy to disguise as a demon Dao cultivator? However, Qin Hao did not need to do that at all. Sensing the auras of the dozen or so demon Dao cultivators rushing over, Qin Hao's lips curled into a wicked smile. Hiss. There were a total of 14 figures, each of their auras above the mid-stage creation stage. One of them was even at the peak of the late-stage creation stage. Their mission was to kill the non-demon Dao cultivators who had been transported from the outside world. With the three realms in chaos, Emerald Smoke City's transportation formation could be used to accurately select a city. But now that it had been destroyed, it would depend on one's luck as to which realm they would be transported to. However, no matter which realm they were in, they would be in the vicinity of the original transportation formation that led to Emerald Smoke City and would not be more than 3,000 miles away. You dare come back when you're only at the early stage creation stage? Kid, tell us your name. Which immortal Dao sect are you from? If it's the Origin Gate Heavenly Sword sect or Floating Mist sect, we can guarantee your safety. If it's a large sect like the Ling Tian sect, as long as your sect is willing to pay, we can consider letting you redeem your freedom. This kid has already reached the blessed realm at such a young age. He must be a super genius from a large sect, right? I should be able to make a fortune. Hee. In an instant, the 14 of them surrounded Qin Hao. Each and every one of them looked at Qin Hao as if they were looking at a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Once the great war of the three realms of immortals, demons and demons broke out in the early stages of the manifestation stage, their usefulness would be very limited. Those in the initial stage of the blessed realm only had the right to participate. As for young disciples with potential like Qin Hao, they were usually protected by the sect and were not allowed to participate in the battle. The main force participating in the battle were the sect's grand elders, sect leaders, elders and other experts who had stepped into the blessed realm. On the other hand, the three dimensions were afraid that the other side would kill their young disciples. So, the three dimensions agreed that if their young disciples appeared near the teleportation formation, then they couldn't kill them and they would use origin crystals, magic treasures, precious spirit herbs and so on and so forth to redeem them. Of course, the prerequisite was that the sect the young disciple belonged to was willing to pay and could afford it. Otherwise, there would only be one outcome: death. Our luck is not bad. It's just our turn and we've already met a valuable one. Hey, kid, are you scared out of your wits? Why don't you tell us your name? The old man at the peak of the mastery stage said as he stared at Chen Hao with a smug and cold gaze. Bang. To everyone's surprise, Chen Hao suddenly shrieked in fright, as if he was about to tear the space apart. Trying to run? Hiss hiss hiss. The 14 people who surrounded Chen Hao from several thousand feet away instantly charged at Chen Hao. At the same time, they released an extremely powerful sealing energy from afar. It was not that they had never seen such a scene before. If they allowed Chen Hao to escape by tearing space apart right under their noses, wouldn't they be in trouble? Faced with an oppressive force that was as vast as the mountains and seas, the space seemed to be sealed. When he saw that the crowd was only 3,000 feet away from him, Chen Hao, who originally seemed to be in a panic, had two extremely sharp killing intent shining in his eyes. Clang. Chi-chi-chi-chi. Puff 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 puff. Boom 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 boom. He unsheathed his sword, attacked and unleashed his ultimate moves in one go. His speed was so fast that it completely exceeded the 14 people's expectations. 13 of them did not even have time to cry out in alarm before they felt a chill in their hearts. Soon after, their heads swelled and they lost consciousness. The only person at the peak of the mastery stage widened his eyes in extreme horror. He wanted to call for help, wanted to cry out in alarm, but he was shocked to discover that a palm that contained destructive energy had already pressed down on his head. He believed that as long as he made any movement he would definitely be like the 13 companions in front of him, and his head would explode like a watermelon. He did not understand why his body had uncontrollably appeared in front of the youth in front of him. He also did not understand how the youth had managed to kill the other 13 people in one move and even control him. If you don't want to die, behave yourself. With a wave of his hand he collected the storage rings of the 14 people and destroyed the corpses. Chen Hao released a barrier that enveloped him and the old man. Tell me, what's the current situation of the immortal Dao, devil Dao and demon Dao? If you spout nonsense I'll destroy your body and soul. Chen Hao's eyes emitted a soul-stirring pressure as he stared at the old man and said, I'll talk, don't kill me. The old man was scared silly. How was this the early stage of the mastery stage? This was clearly the ability of a half-step human immortal. More than 10 minutes later the old man's pupils suddenly shrank and widened. He stared straight at Chen Hao with disbelief. Don't look at me like that. What credibility do I have with my enemies? Besides, I didn't say that I wouldn't kill you. Chen Hao clapped his hands and kept the old man's storage ring. Although his wealth was already immeasurable, he still had to collect the spoils of war. How weak. They're all at the peak of the mastery stage of the creation stage, but the people from the limitless celestial palace can fight against 10 of them. Chen Hao shrugged with a smug look on his face. This was his first battle after stepping out of the ruin. If he had not comprehended the 1000 transformation mystic technique, it would have taken him a lot of effort to kill these people. However, these creation stage cultivators with low aptitudes were like ants in front of him. They could not even withstand a single blow. However, the current situation is a little bad. Chen Hao had already learned about the current situation in the eastern continent from the old man. In the eastern continent, the immortal Dao was the weakest among the 3 Daos. It only occupied 1/5 of the territory. Whether it was the number of sects or the number of experts, it was far inferior to the devil Dao and demon Dao, especially the devil Dao. This time, because the origin sect had betrayed their camp and colluded with the devil Dao, they had instigated the Sky Sword sect and the Floating Mist sect, who were also punished to betray them. It was equivalent to taking in the 3 strongest forces of the 10 immortal Dao sects. Other than the Ling Tian sect, what else did the immortal Dao have? How could the demon Dao in the eastern continent stand by and watch the conflict between the immortal Dao and the devil Dao? The demon Dao alone could not contend against the devil Dao. Even if they joined forces with the immortal Dao, they could only achieve a draw. Therefore, the demon Dao chose to join forces with the devil Dao to divide the weakest immortal Dao. In this way, they would be able to obtain considerable benefits with the least amount of sacrifices. This directly caused the immortal Dao to fall into a state of being besieged on all sides. Fortunately, even so, the devil Dao and demon Dao did not dare to rashly start a war. After all, although the immortal Dao was at a complete disadvantage in terms of the number of experts, They would still suffer great losses if a real war were to break out. Moreover, this was also something that the three great palaces of the boundless continent would not allow unless it was a last resort. The forces of the three forces are gathered in the Three Realms galaxy, which is 13 million miles away from here. If I were to fly there, it would take about 20 hours. What a waste. Qin Hao said in his mind, Ito Ta, I'll leave it to you. Yes, master. Qin Hao suddenly retracted his aura completely, and all his attention was retracted into his soul residence. Meanwhile, Ito Ta excitedly took control of Qin Hao's body. Phew. So powerful, so powerful. Master, your physical body is really too good. Ito Ta said excitedly as he sensed the surging power in Qin Hao's body. Stop talking nonsense. Let's hurry up and go to the nearest city, which is about 100,000 miles from here. When the time comes, just teleport there directly. Okay. Eastern Continent, Three Realms Galaxy. Three long rivers that were about 100 miles wide and endlessly long, exuding boundless mysteries, intersected at one place. The rolling water and raging waves surged to the sky, dividing the land into three parts. Countless experts from the Immortal Tao, Demon Tao, and Devil Tao had gathered in their own territories. In their territories near the Milky Way of the Three Realms, there were rows of huge palaces. Between the palaces and the endless Milky Way, there were array diagrams that were parallel to the Milky Way. Unfortunately, the array diagrams were broken. In the Great Hall of the Immortal Tao. Faction leader Xia, no matter what, you can't agree to it. Both of them are already stronger than us. Let alone 20, we can't even choose 5. This is obviously too much. Yeah, we have no chance of winning at all. So what? Are we going to start a war? Xia Lingfeng frowned, but there was no other way. In the entire hall, countless top figures of the various sects were all gloomy. Let's start a war then. At most we'll fight to the death. If it's just 10 million miles of land, it's fine, but you still want my 4 sisters-in-law to destroy my boss's sect? Jiang Hai and Huang Wenxu were among the 40 disciples sent by Limitless Immortal Palace. Although the 2 of them were only at the peak of the initial stage of creation realm, they were 2 of the 4 people with the highest prestige among the 40 disciples of Limitless Immortal Palace. The other 2 were 2 disciples with high potential from Yunwei Palace. That's right. If they start a war, we can help. If we agree to it, we can't help. And you have no chance of winning. Faction leader Xia, the decision is yours. Junior sister Yu is your granddaughter. Junior sister Xiaowu and junior sister Xiaolian are both direct disciples of Yunwei Palace's palace master, and their futures are limitless. Are you willing to let them be humiliated? The youth with the highest prestige in Yunwei Palace stared at Xia Lingfeng and asked. Yunwei Palace was in charge of the Eastern Continent's Immortal Tao. Apart from Jiang Hai and Huang Wenxu, the others were all disciples of Yunwei Palace. Of course, they knew the importance of Xia Yu and the other 2 to senior immortal Yunwei. Chapter 453. Everyone, you are disciples of the Immortal Palace. Forgive me for being blunt, but if a war breaks out, can the 40 of you defeat the 80 demonic and demon cultivators? The final outcome will be the extinction of the Immortal Tao in the Eastern Continent, divided by the demonic and demon cultivators. Blood will flow like rivers and the people will be plunged into misery and suffering. All the cultivators in the Eastern Continent will have no place to stay. I believe that even the immortal venerables will not agree to such an outcome. Moreover, have you seen how many Immortal Tao sects in the Eastern Continent are wavering? Even if we don't agree, how many sects will be willing to fight with us? Xia Lingfeng's beard trembled as he spoke emotionally. Whether it was his granddaughter Xia Yu, Helian Wuzi, Tantailian, or Qin Shui, they were all true geniuses that had not appeared in the Eastern Continent for thousands of years. How could he be willing to sacrifice them? However, the situation had already reached this point. If he did not agree, it would only be worse. Once the war broke out, would Xia Yu and the others be able to escape? Now, if he agreed to the battle between the demonic and demon cultivators, at least the Eastern Continent would have a chance of survival. Grandfather, agree. If we lose, we can just commit suicide. I believe that they will repay us 100 times, 1,000 times, no matter who it is, no matter how strong they are. Xia Yuyu said firmly when she saw her grandfather's gaze. At this point she could not drag out an ignoble existence. She understood how difficult it was for her grandfather to make such a decision. Who could stop the trend of the world? Sister-in-law, we have no choice. You is right. You only know that some of the 40 people from the Limitless Demon Palace are our enemies, but you don't know that the Yuan Gate Floating Mist Sect and Sky Sword Sect colluded with the demonic sects because of us and Qin Hao. No matter what, they will not let us go. This matter started because of us, so we will bear the responsibility. One day he will avenge us. Xia Yuyu said, then looked at Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi and Tan Tai Lian. What do you think? There is no need to drag the others to their deaths. Just the 4 of us will do. 4 against 40, even if we die we can kill more than 10 of them. Qin Shui said coldly. The others nodded. At this moment, other than the Pavilion Master and Grand Elder of the Myriad Pill Pavilion, no one knew that Qin Shui was Leng Yihan. He only knew that Qin Shui was an itinerant cultivator of the immortal Tao in the East Continent. She had already confirmed her relationship with Qin Hao. Good. Very good. Since the Star-Seizing House is the first to bear the brunt of the attack, it doesn't matter. As long as Qin Hao is alive, the Star-Seizing House will have hope. Isn't it just death? Clan Master Xia agreed to their demands. The Star-Seizing Sect Master Yuan Tairan had originally been hesitating. However, after hearing what Xia Yuyu, Qin Shui and the others said, he was unable to continue to hesitate. No matter what he chose, the star-picking sect would be destroyed. Why not think about the countless sects and billions of living beings of the immortal Tao? Sect leader, what do you want to agree to? At this moment, a voice appeared in the hall without warning. The people present were either sect masters or supreme elders. There were also 40 true experts of the limitless immortal palace. However, when this voice resounded in everyone's ears, not a single person felt the slightest bit of aura. Shock appeared on everyone's faces as they looked at the closed palace doors. Boss. Jiang Hai and Huang Wenshu cried out in shock. Meanwhile, Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yuyu and Tan Tai Lian rushed to the palace doors, their faces filled with boundless joy and excitement. Grandfather, it's Hao Hao. It's Hao Hao. Hurry and open the door. Xia Yuyu shouted as she ran. Xia Lingfeng, Yuan Tairan and the 6 supreme elders of the Star-Seizing sect were first pleasantly surprised, but then their faces turned pale. They'd already heard about Qin Hao's situation from the 4 girls. At this moment, it would have been fine if Qin Hao hadn't returned. As long as Qin Hao was here, they believed that with his talent, Qin Hao would one day make the demon Dao and Yao Dao pay with blood. But now, their only hope had returned. What did that mean? They didn't believe that Qin Hao's return alone could change the outcome. That would be suicide. Creak. Rumble. Before Xia Lingfeng could activate the restriction, the palace doors slowly opened, and Qin Hao's handsome figure appeared before everyone's eyes. The powerful restriction blockade actually existed in name only to Qin Hao. Creation Realm. When the 4 girls rushed halfway, they suddenly realized the same problem. Their faces, which were originally full of surprise, suddenly changed and their footwork became heavy. They knew that Qin Hao hadn't stepped into the creation realm yet. But at this moment, the moment they saw Qin Hao, they were pleasantly surprised again. Enough. Qin Hao had stepped into the creation realm. What was not enough? Fortunately, I came back in time, in front of so many elders, and with the 4 girls together, Qin Hao couldn't do anything intimate. He only looked at the 4 girls and said with a smile. Boss. Creation realm, that's great. There won't be any problems now. Boss, you're finally out. Without you we were all bored to death. Jiang Hai and Huang Wenshu, the last 2 guys to enter the sect, seemed to have been assimilated by Huyan Aoba and the others after not seeing them for more than half a year. One by one they ran excitedly to Qin Hao and said excitedly. The others stared at Qin Hao, not understanding why the 4 girls and Jiang Hai were so excited. He had obviously come back to die, so how could there be no problems? Was the creation realm very high? And he was only at the early stage of the creation realm. They believed that Qin Hao's combat power must be very strong, but could he alone turn the tide? This was not the Eastern Continent's Immortal Dao sect exchange competition. The demon realm had long been scheming. There were 20 young disciples at the peak of the late stage of the creation realm. They said that they were the direct descendants of the Eastern continent, but everyone knew that it was impossible. Close the door. Rumble. No one here is allowed to reveal any news of Qin Hao's return. Xia Lingfeng glanced at the hall and said in a low voice. After saying that, he looked at Qin Hao and said, "Why did you come back? Revenge is a dish best served cold. As long as you are outside, there is still hope for the immortal Tao." "I have never liked revenge. Why don't you tell me the details?" Qin Hao's expression changed slightly, and the aura that he had been restraining was suddenly released, instantly enveloping the entire hall. At that moment, everyone felt like they could not stand steadily. A terrifying pressure and several types of sword Tao that made one's soul tremble appeared in everyone's heart at the same time. Even Qin Shui, Xiao Wu and the others who knew Qin Hao the best widened their eyes in horror. "Qin Hao, you hid your cultivation level?" Yuan Tairan asked, tongue-tied. "You can say that. Sect Master, what were you talking about just now?" Qin Hao did not want to talk about this issue. Showing his aura was already the limit of what he could do, because Qin Hao could not be sure that there were no spies from the demon realm present. "Let me say it." Qin Shui took over and slowly told him the demon sect's conditions. Qin Hao had only learned the general situation from the demon sect cultivator, but at that moment, after hearing Qin Shui's words, his handsome face shone with a strong killing intent. "Sect Master Xia, Grandfather Xia agreed to them," Qin Hao said in a low voice. Originally he had some conflict with Xia Lingfeng, so he addressed him as Sect Master Xia. But after considering Xia Yu's feelings, he changed the way he addressed him. "Are you sure? The 20 young disciples of the demon sect are definitely experts gathered by the limitless demon palace in the middle continent with a premeditated plan. Moreover, they came in before the 3 barriers completely collapsed. Among the young disciples here, only the 5 of you have reached the blessed realm. How can you compare? I know you are very strong, even stronger than me, but they are all super geniuses. And they are all at the peak of the late stage of the blessed realm. Even I can deal with 5 of them at most. Didn't you want to agree just now?" "Do you want to start a war?" Qin Hao said with a frown. "Yes, you have to agree. But I don't want you to show yourself. With your concealment skills, if no one knows that you have returned, you should be able to avoid this calamity. I said before, I don't like revenge. If we die together, and if we live together, we live together." Qin Hao said resolutely. "Grandfather, just agree. You don't have to care about how." Xia Yu said. "Sect Master Xia, just agree. Since my boss is here, he won't do as you say. Just wait for a good show." Huang Wenxiu also said. "All right, but don't say my real name first. Let's talk about Qin Tianxi. Also, I don't know if the people here can be trusted, but if anyone dares to leak any information, don't blame me for being merciless. You will soon see the consequences of Yuan Gate, Sky Sword Sect and Floating Mist Sect. If any of you are still wavering or have already been roped in, it is best to stop immediately. There's still time. Also, Grandfather Xia, why didn't you mention your conditions? If we lose, we have to give up 10 million miles of land. If they lose, they have to give up 10 million miles of land as well. Also, hand over everyone from Yuan Gate, Sky Sword Sect and Floating Mist Sect. Not a single one of them can be missing," Qin Hao said arrogantly. At this moment he did not even give face to Xia Lingfeng, an elder. This was not the time to give face. Xia Lingfeng and the others smiled bitterly. Mention their conditions? They had no chance of winning. What conditions could they mention? However, since Qin Hao had said so, and with such information, they naturally had to mention their conditions. Moreover, there was no reason for them not to agree. This was something that could not be violated in any battle. Xia Lingfeng felt that his aura was completely suppressed by Qin Hao, so he could only say in a low voice, "I will mention it later. Yes, when you mention it, remember to ask for an exorbitant price. Ask for 20 million miles and their 3 sections. Also add on a challenge." Challenge. That's right. 40 disciples from Limitless Immortal Palace challenging 80 from Limitless Demon Palace and Limitless Demon Palace. It has nothing to do with the Eastern continent. If they are afraid, then forget it. It doesn't matter, Qin Hao said. At this point he looked at the people from Limitless Immortal Palace and said, "Do you dare?" Chapter 454. This. Other than Zhang Hai and Huang Wenxiu, the rest of the 40 people from Limitless Immortal Palace had heard of Qin Hao's name. However, such an arrogant move made them feel awkward. 40 people against 80 people, was this possible? The demon Dao is just fishing in troubled waters, no one is willing to fight to the death. The real opponent is Limitless Demon Palace. You don't need to fight them. We don't need to fight. Zhang Hai, Huang Wenxiu, Xiao Shui, Xiao Wu Yu and Xiao Lian will take care of the 40 people from Limitless Demon Palace. You just need to hold back most of the people from Limitless Demon Palace. Qin Hao said. Cough cough. Whether it was Zhang Hai, Huang Wenxiu or the people present, they all thought that Qin Hao was crazy or overconfident. 7 people against 40 people? And the 7 of them were all in the early stage of the manifestation realm? If he wasn't out of his mind, then what was? However, the next scene caused many people to gasp in shock. Hiss hiss hiss. Rays of dazzling light suddenly shot out from Qin Hao's hands and floated in front of Zhang Hai and the other 6 people. Helmets, armors, gauntlets, leggings, battle boots. Every set had a different style, but every piece of equipment was exuding an endless mysterious aura at this moment. Precious light flowed, enveloping the entire hall in a layer of blurred colors. This is a set of middle-grade spirit treasures that I obtained from the ruins. It is not weaker than a high-grade spirit treasure. Not only does it have an amazing defensive ability, it can increase the battle power by several times when the array is activated. It also comes with a powerful skill. You should refine it as soon as possible. Boss, just refine it. Qin Hao directly interrupted Zhang Hai. His gaze swept across the shocked faces and finally landed on the disciples of Limitless Immortal Palace. He said, I obtained a lot of treasures in the ruins, but I am not familiar with your situation. Now, as long as you dare to participate in the battle, tell me what you need the most. But you can only choose one middle-grade spirit treasure. Brother Qin, I agree. I agree too. In an instant, the remaining 38 disciples all excitedly made their promises. That was a middle-grade soul treasure. Furthermore, it was a middle-grade soul treasure that had been found in the ruins. Judging from the 6 sets that Qin Hao had taken out, any one of them contained an aura that could not be compared to an ordinary upper-grade soul treasure. Furthermore, the runes on them were something that they had never seen before. Even if there was only one piece, how much would their combat strength increase? What's more, according to Qin Hao's words, they only needed to pin down the disciples of Limitless Demon Palace. As long as they weren't stupid, they would definitely agree to such a cheap deal. Alright, Zhang Hai, Huang Wenxiu, you guys record what they need. I can't guarantee that you'll be able to find something that completely meets your needs, but a mid-grade spirit treasure should not be a problem. Qin Hao said with a smile. Then he looked at Xia Lingfeng and said, Grandpa Xia, everyone here should stay here and wait. You just need to bring a few people to negotiate with them. The time was set for 3 days later. What do you think? Xia Lingfeng stared at Qin Hao and seemed to hesitate for a moment. Then he took a deep breath and said, all right. However, Qin Hao, you don't have to worry about them. Those who can enter this hall are the foundation of our eastern continent. They have all taken a blood oath. No one would dare to betray us. It's not appropriate for them to wait here. They still have to go out and appease the disciples and do many other things. Oh? Since that's the case, it doesn't matter. However, the news of my return, other than those of us here, don't let anyone else know for the time being. That's not a problem. Everyone heard that, right? Clan leader Xia, Brother Qin Hao, don't worry. The elders present all responded. They had already addressed Qin Hao as brother. In the world of cultivation, strength was everything. The power and wealth that Qin Hao had just displayed had far exceeded their expectations. It was not something that they could compare to what was great luck and great opportunity. Qin Hao was one of them. Qin Hao, who was once the #1 person among the younger generation in the eastern continent, had just returned and brought them hope of creating a miracle again. Xia Lingfeng led the remaining 6 clan leaders of the 10 immortal Dao sects to the intersection of the 3 realms and the Milky Way to reply and renegotiate. As Qin Hao had expected, the other party did not hesitate at all and agreed to Xia Lingfeng's exorbitant conditions. In their opinion, Xia Lingfeng and the others were simply idiots. Asking for conditions? Even if they agreed to give the demon realm and the demon realm to the immortal realm, they had to have the ability to take them all. Moreover, they had no chance of winning at all. Any conditions were nothing more than empty promises that had no hope of being fulfilled. As for the disciples of Limitless Immortal Palace who took the initiative to challenge the 80 disciples of Limitless Demon Palace and Limitless Demon Palace, it made the disciples of the two great palaces laugh their heads off. In their opinion, the disciples of Limitless Immortal Palace must have gone mad from anger. They were too ashamed to face the immortal venerables of Limitless Immortal Palace, which was why they made such an impulsive decision. Why did they not agree? Fearing that they would change their minds if they agreed too late, they signed the agreement quickly. Qin Hao chatted with Qin Shui and the others in the room for a while. After getting the results from Jiang Hai and Huang Wenshu's statistics, he directly entered a cultivation room in the palace that was specially set aside for him. Nominally, he helped the 38 people to equip them. In reality, what did he choose? It was all made by himself. Except for Qin Shui, who had vaguely guessed it, no one would have thought that these spiritual treasures were made by Qin Hao. Not to mention the equipment for 40 people, even a middle-grade spiritual treasure would take 10 days or even a few months to refine successfully. Moreover, only a celestial prime-level blacksmith could do it. There was also a prerequisite, which was to have sufficient precious materials. Refining a middle-grade spiritual treasure was not difficult for an Earth Immortal or Celestial Immortal level blacksmith. However, spiritual treasures were extremely precious and rare. The reason was not that they could not refine them but that they did not have so many precious materials. The higher the level of the spiritual treasure, the more precious the materials were, and even the materials were hard to find. Congratulations, junior brother. Congratulations, junior brother. Junior brother, you are really wise and mighty. Junior brother's luck with women is boundless. In a huge palace in the diabolism area of the Three Realms, Soul Fighter sat cross-legged in a cultivation room. His body was surrounded by a terrifying aura. He slowly opened his eyes and stared at the 20 or so peak late-stage manifestation experts who had entered. He said, "What's there to be surprised about? Everything is as I expected. When is it set?" 3 days later. The battle will start at the intersection of the heavenly rivers of the Three Realms. Very good. All of you can go now. Don't disturb me in these 3 days. Soul Fighter's eyes were sharp and full of confidence as he spoke. Junior brother, you are about to break through? More or less, go. Yes. After watching the crowd leave, Soul Fighter's face revealed a perverted smile. In the ruins, because of Qin Hao's deterrence, he had been cultivating madly for 3 months. After stepping out of the ruins and learning of Qin Hao's death, the knot in his heart had been untied, and his temperament had changed. However, he did not have any chance to kill all of Qin Hao's people even after more than a month. Moreover, after Qin Shui and the others had stepped into the manifestation realm, they had displayed strength that even he did not have an absolute advantage. At that time, because of the Immortal Tao Origin School, the Floating Mist Sect and the Sky Sword Sect, the two realms of the East Continent's Immortal Tao and the Demon Tao were about to go to war. Soul Fighter had coincidentally received the news. In addition, he had already collected detailed information about Qin Hao, Qin Shui, Helian Wuxia, Xia Yuyu and Tan Tai Lian. When he tracked Qin Shui and the others back to the East Continent, he immediately made a decision. Taking advantage of the fact that the Immortal Tao and Demon Tao in the East Continent had not developed into an uncontrollable state, he gathered some genius disciples of the Demon Tao and went to the Limitless Demon Palace in advance. It could be said that the reason the Three Realms had developed to such an extent was all thanks to Soul Fighter. You're already dead. When I push your woman under my crotch and make her moan delicately, your destiny will belong to me, right? That Qin Shui is extremely powerful. Fortunately, I'm about to advance to the late manifestation realm. But it doesn't matter. With those idiots from the Demon Tao, we have more than 20 people at the peak of the late manifestation realm. Perhaps I don't even need to do anything. They will become my maids. So what if they are powerful in battle? Once they sign the contract, they will have to serve me obediently. The only worry is that they will commit suicide after losing. Soul Fighter's expression was lustful and vicious, and his eyes flashed. I'll advance to the late manifestation realm first. The night before the final battle. Qin Hao, who was pale and drenched in sweat, slowly opened his eyes. For 3 whole days, Qin Hao did not dare to stay for even a moment. Now he had finally completed his mission. 38 middle-grade spirit weapons. Although the time was a little rushed, it was not much worse than Xiao Shui's. I'll recover first. 15 minutes later, Qianhao stepped out of the cultivation room and arrived in front of the crowd who had been anxiously waiting for him. I'm sorry, I have to try out these spirit treasures one by one before I know their effects. I've kept everyone waiting. I've already removed the brand and they should be able to satisfy your needs. Take them and refine them. A total of 38 spirit treasures floated in front of the disciples of Wuji Celestial Palace. There were swords, armors, gauntlets and boots. However, each sword was unique, and they were all refined by Qianhao according to each person's needs. Your names are pasted on them, don't get it wrong, Qianhao said to the crowd whose eyes were wide with surprise. This is mine. Wine. In the blink of an eye, all 38 people were snatched up. Brother Qin, these spirit treasures, will they belong to us in the future? One of the disciples asked as he looked at Qianhao in disbelief. Today is the last update. I have to go out in the afternoon and will only be back after 9 o'clock at night. Sorry. Chapter 455. Of course. Don't reveal it before the battle begins. When the time comes, we'll give them a surprise. Go and temper yourselves, Qianhao said with a faint smile. Great. I guarantee they'll be pleasantly surprised. After that, Xia Lingfeng, the sect masters of the other 6 sects, Yuan Tairan, Qianhao, Qin Shui, and the other girls discussed the order of battle tomorrow. Even though Qianhao and the 4 women appeared to be very confident, Xia Lingfeng and the others still could not believe that Qianhao and the other 4 could defeat 40 people, including more than 20 experts at the peak of the later stage of the Blessed Realm. After all, although a mediocre-grade spirit treasure was powerful, it was still a worldly possession. Moreover, it was limited by one's cultivation level. No one could estimate how much combat power it could unleash. However, things had already progressed to this stage. At least there was more hope than before Qianhao's return. The final outcome could only be left to fate. Let's go. Early the next morning, more than 40,000 manifestation stage cultivators from the Immortal Path gathered. At Xia Lingfeng's command, they rose into the air and flew toward the intersection of the 3 realms' heavenly rivers. Aside from the 6 unfamiliar teenagers with different appearances and restrained their auras, Qin Shui, Jianghai, Huang Wenxiu, and the other disciples from Infinite Immortal Palace, Xia Lingfeng, the sect master, and a few other Grand Supreme Elders who knew about Qianhao's return, all had incredibly grave expressions on their faces. There was no need to even mention the other powerful fighters in Blessed Realm. They had long since confirmed the outcome of the battle in their hearts. This was undoubtedly a decision they were forced to make to protect the immortal Dao in the Eastern continent. Everyone looked at Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yiyu and Tan Tailian with gratitude and sympathy. The same was true for the star-picking sect. The 4 girls would become their captives and the star-picking sect would be annihilated. Who are those 6 youths? They're all at the early stage of the manifestation stage and they're so young. Why haven't I heard of them before? I don't know. Find it strange too. But they must be young experts secretly cultivated by the Ling Tian sect and the other grade 9 sects? What a pity. What's the use of coming out now? Since he's going to lose anyway, he might as well continue hiding. In the future he can still become an expert of the immortal Dao. Yes. Sigh. That Qianhao was once the hope of the immortal Dao in the Eastern continent. In the past 3 years we have also seen hope. The changes in the immortal Dao in the Eastern continent are obvious to all. But who would have thought that it would become the misfortune of our immortal Dao? You can't say that. Since the providence of our Eastern continent's immortal Dao is already closely tied to him, we naturally have to stand together regardless of honor or disgrace. Currently, it's said that Qianhao has made a name for himself in the central continent, and both palace halls of the limitless celestial palace value him greatly. Although the rumor that he's dead has spread, I don't think it's accurate. Otherwise, the Ling Tian sect and the star-plucking sect would have done something about it. It's really a pity for them. The 2 old men in Blessed Realm who were communicating with each other through voice transmissions cast their gazes at the 100 or so cultivators at the back of the group. Aside from the 6 grand elders of the star-picking sect as well as the inner and outer sect elders, there were also over 80 disciples. Among these disciples, the youngest was only in their teens while the oldest was only in their 40s or 50s. In the world of cultivation they were considered very young, but at this moment they were walking step by step toward death. These people were all listed by name by the demon Dao and detailed information about each of them was available. Based on the list alone, anyone could tell that it was completely targeted at Chen Hao. Everyone who was related to Chen Hao was on the list, regardless of their cultivation base. Clearly, this list wasn't something that Soul Fighter could come up with based on the information he'd obtained. It was something that the 3 great traitorous sects, the Origin School, the Drifting Mist sect and the Sky Sword sect, had joined forces with the mastermind behind all this. The Star-Picking sect and the 4 women were part of the wager. Once the Demon Dao and Demon Dao won the battle, the Star-Picking sect would disappear from the world of cultivation. Naturally, the Star-Picking sect master, grand elders and inner and outer sect elders would all be included. However, they couldn't kill the countless young disciples as and when they wanted to. In fact, the Star-Picking sect had already dismissed all their disciples a few days ago, turning them into an empty shell. It was precisely because of this that Soul Fighter and the others had listed all the disciples related to Chen Hao when they set the terms of the wager. In other words, any one of these people was part of the wager and not a single one could be missing. 3 days ago, before Chen Hao had started refining his magic treasure, he had already learned about this situation from the 4 women. However, he had resisted the urge to go to the palace where the Star-Picking sect disciples were imprisoned. At this moment he had already split into 6, each with different appearances. Moreover, he had completely changed his aura through a mysterious array and equipment. Sensing the 100 or so Star-Picking sect disciples at the back of the group, a monstrous killing intent surged from the depths of his heart toward the Origin School, the Sky Sword sect, and the Drifting Mist sect for colluding with the Demon Dao. Of course, there were also the disciples from the Limitless Demon Palace. Chen Hao didn't know that Soul Fighter was also here, but he knew that the Demon Dao wouldn't let off any cultivator related to him. It was definitely Soul Fighter's subordinates who had done this. "What's wrong with you?" Qin Shui couldn't help but ask when she sensed the aura fluctuation of Chen Hao's original body. Nothing. Carrying the upgraded 1,000 illusions, Chen Hao couldn't see any relationship with his original appearance. After hearing Qin Shui's voice transmission, he abruptly cut off his own senses. He couldn't bear to watch or listen any longer. Otherwise, he was afraid that he really wouldn't be able to control himself. The killing intent was getting stronger and stronger. He didn't dare to imagine what kind of tragedy would have happened if he hadn't returned. His younger brother and sister, whom he hadn't seen for a few years, were already experts at the peak of the Golden Core stage. His younger brother, Qin Nan, was handsome and had a determined look in his eyes. He was fearless. His younger sister, Qin Yan, had already become a young girl, like a blooming little white flower. Her appearance and figure were shockingly similar to Qin Shui's, but their temperaments were completely different. Lil Ling Xiao Jian, Buttface, Xiao Jishan, Xiao Jifei and the others were also present. Each of them had reached the Golden Core stage. Dongfang Ting Yi Fei Xue Yang Fan and I Jian Pain Li Yifeng Dongfang Ju Nimo Yui. They were all present. What surprised Chen Hao even more was that the once charming and mature Xiao Mei was actually present. No matter what, this was something he couldn't have imagined. What was even more unexpected was that Xiao Mei's cultivation had actually reached the nascent soul stage. She wasn't very beautiful, but the once charming and gentle Xiao Mei's eyes contained a deep emotion that shocked Chen Hao. Her expression was different from everyone else's. Facing the threat of death, her face was actually brimming with pride and a sense of not turning back. Even Chen Hao couldn't understand why Xiao Mei would have such an expression. However, the emotion contained in Xiao Mei's eyes made him feel apprehensive. He even felt an indescribable tremor in his heart and a deep sense of doubt. In the past, Chen Hao didn't have any in-depth research on women because of the restrictions of his cultivation method and cultivation realm. But now he had already advanced to the Blessed Realm. With his powerful soul perception, he could clearly sense the auras of men and women, which were the most difficult to distinguish between the world and the Yin-Yang ruins. These were things that Mo Wuxin, who had cultivated a special cultivation method in the demonic path, could see at a glance when he was in the nascent soul stage or the golden core stage. And now Qin Hao could see that Xiao Mei was still a virgin. The primordial yin in her body was still intact. How was this possible? When he went back the last time, Xiao Mei had already gotten together with Xiao Feng. How could she still retain her primordial yin? But this was the truth. In the past he couldn't tell, but now he was certain. Even Qin Hao himself didn't know that after he made this discovery, a hint of undetectable joy actually surged out from the depths of his heart. It was just like the indescribable emotions that surged out from the depths of his heart when he found out that Xiao Mei and Xiao Feng had gotten together. He didn't think that there was anything wrong with him. In fact, even the slightest thought could be erased and turned into blessings for Xiao Mei and Xiao Feng. However, Qin Hao clearly underestimated the position of the first mature woman who gave him fantasies since he came to this world in his heart. At this moment, Qin Hao still didn't realize that his entire mind was filled with monstrous killing intent. Kill, kill, kill. The disciples of the Limitless Demon Palace, the leaders of the Yuan Gate Sky Sword Sect and Floating Mist Sect. He wanted to kill all of them with his sword. Their souls wouldn't be extinguished. Yes, their souls wouldn't be extinguished. All along, Qin Hao wasn't willing to use the old god's special ability. Firstly, he didn't want to rely on the old god, which would restrict his progress. Secondly, he didn't want his mind to become a hodgepodge of countless living beings. But now, simply killing these people was no longer enough to satisfy the monstrous killing intent in his heart. Chi. There was no sign at all. What Qin Shui and the others did not expect was that Qin Hao, who had originally said that he would use his clone to fight and would only reveal his true self when he fought against the evil cult disciples, suddenly put away his clone at that moment and returned to his original appearance. Not far from Qin Hao, Xiaoling Feng, Yuan Tairan, Qin Shui, Helian Wuxia and the rest, as well as the disciples of the Limitless Immortal Palace, all looked at Qin Hao in confusion. Don't worry. If they dare to break the contract, Qin Hao will definitely wash the demonic world with blood. No matter who it is, don't even think about escaping. Don't be afraid that they will shed all pretense of cordiality and start a war. The ones who will lose will definitely be them. If I can take out dozens of sets of spiritual treasures, I can take out even more. So what if they have a few times more people than us? Qin Hao said in an incomparably cold voice. Ah, Qin Hao. That's Qin Hao. What? Qin Hao. Qin Hao is back. Qin Hao. It's really Qin Hao. It's obviously 6 completely different figures, but they actually gathered together to form Qin Hao. Could it be that they are all his doppelganger? Buzz buzz buzz. In the blink of an eye, starting from the front of the team, Qin Hao's doppelganger suddenly became one. Like a heavy bomb, it exploded in the crowd. Chapter 456. Qin Hao. Qin Hao. Brother. 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 In an instant, Qin Hao's name spread from the front of the group to the back of the group. The 100 or so disciples of the star-picking sect were pleasantly surprised, especially those who were familiar with Qin Hao. Qin Nan and Qin Yan were so excited that they wanted to rush over. Unfortunately, they were being carried by the Supreme Elder and the other creation stage experts. Everyone, don't be excited. The battle is imminent. Let's not disturb him. Since Qin Hao is back, he will definitely come to see you. Please believe that we can survive this crisis. The 6 Supreme Elders were also confused. They didn't understand why Qin Hao had suddenly exposed himself, but when they saw how excited the crowd was, they had to stop them. At that moment, a ray of light flashed by, and Qin Hao appeared in front of the 100 or so disciples of the star-picking sect. Brother. Brother. The younger sister Qin Yan and the younger brother Qin Nan cried out in alarm. They struggled to jump towards Qin Hao. At this moment, the Grand Elder who was carrying the 2 of them couldn't stop them. He gently sent out a ray of energy, removing the protection around the 2 of them and pushed them away. Little Nan, little Yen, Qin Hao smiled and opened his arms. The 3 siblings hugged each other tightly. Although Qin Nan was excited, he only hugged his brother for a while before he separated. He looked at his brother, whom he hadn't seen for several years, with excitement in his eyes. Qin Yan, on the other hand, was still hugging Qin Hao tightly and burying her face in his chest, just like when she was young. Brother, why didn't you come to see me when you came back? Aren't I here now? Hey, get up. You've grown up, but you're still the same as when you were a child. Qin Hao pulled Qin Yan away affectionately and said as he looked at the familiar faces. Brother Tianxi. Buttface smiled honestly. Boss. Mo Yui and Dongfang Jun shouted excitedly. Xiao Jishan, Xiao Jifei, Xiao Ling and the others felt the powerful aura on Qin Hao's body. They were all excited, but they didn't say anything. How should they address him? The difference in status and realm was no longer the same as it had been in the past. Xiao Jian averted her gaze. When she met Qin Hao's gaze, she immediately lowered her head. Xiao Mei, on the other hand, stared at Qin Hao in a daze. She looked as if she was in a dream. In the end, she smiled. 6 grand elders and seniors, I'll have to trouble you to bring them back to the sect first. Once Qin Hao nodded to the group, he looked at the 6 grand supreme elders and the blessed realm martial artist who was helping to lead the people away and said those words. This we won't lose. I'm only worried that a great war between immortals and demons will break out. They won't be safe here. Don't worry. Listen to Qin Hao. At some point, Xia Lingfeng and Yuan Tairan had arrived in front of everyone. Xia Lingfeng spoke directly. Yes. Brother. I'm not leaving, I want to stay with you. Xiao Yan, don't cause trouble. If we stay here we will only affect Big Brother. Listen to Big Brother. Qin Nan pulled Qin Yan over and said calmly, Brother, we will wait for your good news. Go ahead. Qin Hao waved his hand and said. Grand Supreme Elder, what is my brother's realm? Was his cultivation very, very high? Will he be okay? When the 6 Grand Supreme Elders and a dozen or so Blessed Realm experts led the star-picking sect disciples away from the 3 Realms galaxy, Qin Yan tugged at a Grand Supreme Elder's arm and asked with a hint of worry on her face. Hearing Qin Yan's words, Qin Nan, Buttface, Xiao Mei, Mo Yui, and the others all looked at the Grand Supreme Elder. Don't worry, your brother has reached the Blessed Realm. We don't know exactly how high he is, but the martial artists at the peak of the Blessed Realm are definitely not his match. Since he has returned, he will definitely be able to do it. But aren't the martial artists at the peak of the Blessed Realm all at the peak of the Blessed Realm? It's different. No one can predict your brother's strength. With him we will definitely win, definitely. The Grand Supreme Elder said. However, the more he emphasized it, the more worried he was. Fortunately, as an old man, he did not show his worry on his face. Grandpa Xia, if there are any accidents, immediately give the order for everyone to flee back to their sects and use their sects to defend. Just give me some time. Try to gather them in the 9th grade and 8th grade sections. You can inform all the sect leaders now and be mentally prepared. Although the probability of it happening is very small, we still have to take precautions. As they continued to rush toward the intersection of the 3 Realms galaxy, Qin Hao sent a message to the worried Xia Lingfeng. What is the level of your battle prowess? I choose to believe you, so shouldn't you tell me the truth? This concerns the survival of the entire Eastern Continent's immortal path. If it's true, it's okay for me to become a sinner, but I can't bear the burden of billions of lives on the immortal path. I am confident that I can defeat anyone below the human immortal stage. As long as they don't send any human immortals, we will definitely win. But they have more than 20 martial artists at the peak of the Blessed Realm. We only have 5 of you in the Blessed Realm. Don't worry, even if there are 100 of them, it won't be a problem. The only thing we have to worry about is that they will break the contract. Now, no one can spread the news of the Eastern Continent. This is the main reason. Otherwise, we don't have to worry at all. All right, I will make the arrangements now, Xia Lingfeng said helplessly, both shocked and shocked. Hiss. At the intersection of the 3 Realms galaxy, the demon world and the monster world were densely packed with nearly 300,000 cultivators. There were about 200,000 in the demon world alone and close to 100,000 in the monster world. Combined, they were almost 8 times the size of the immortal world. Those in the 3 realms who were qualified to come here were all at least at the Blessed Realm. Such a great disparity in numbers was the reason why the immortal path had no choice but to submit. Once the war between the immortal path, demon path and monster path broke out, how could they possibly win? Not bad, you actually managed to gather 40,000 people. Xiao Feng, have you chosen your 20 young disciples? If I'm not wrong, there are only 4 of you, right? The sect master of the Origin School, who had once been known as the most powerful person in the Eastern continent, was now like a dog of the demon sect. He stood at the front of the demon sect's team and stared at Xiao Feng from afar as he hooted. Beside him was the sect master of the Sky Sword sect and the sect master of the Floating Mist sect. Shameless scum. Scum like you will definitely die a horrible death. Cut the crap. 5 of our disciples are enough to deal with you, Xiao Feng said coldly. What a surprise. Did another genius return from the outside world? I don't think any of those who redeemed you are in the blessed realm. The sect master of the Sky Sword sect mocked. Cut the crap. Let's fight. At that moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded from behind. Understood. The sect master of the Origin School and the other 2 immediately stopped shouting and retreated to the back. They stared coldly at their colleagues who had once idolized them as experts in the Eastern continent's immortal path. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 120 disciples from the Limitless Demon Palace, the Monster Palace and the Limitless Celestial Palace instantly flew to the intersection of the 3 realms galaxy. Xiao Feng and the other 2 leaders of the Eastern continent's 3 paths were also in position. 7 youths at the peak of the late-stage Blessed Realms stepped out from the Demon Sect's team, while the Demon Sect's team had 20 people. Sim? How is that possible? When Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yu and Tan Tai Lian stepped out, Qin Hao, who had concealed his aura, also stepped out from the crowd and came to their side. The 7 disciples from the Demon Sect who were preparing to fight did not have any reaction. However, Qin Hao's team of 5 and Soul Fighter's team of 20 changed their expressions at the same time. Qin Hao's team of 5 did not expect Soul Fighter to be among the 20 people. When Qin Hao saw Soul Fighter, he was shocked, furious and excited. Qin Hao already knew that the 40 people from the Demon Sect included the disciple who had chased after him with Soul Fighter. He also knew that this was all because of Soul Fighter's hatred for him. After this incident, no matter where he was, Qin Hao would kill Soul Fighter with his sword. But he did not expect Soul Fighter to be here. How could he not be excited? Unlike Qin Hao, Soul Fighter and the others who knew Qin Hao felt their hair stand on end when they saw Qin Hao. It was as if they had seen a ghost. Impossible, impossible. How can he not be dead? How can he be in the East Continent? He clearly died in the ruins. Soul Fighter and the others were extremely terrified. Even though Soul Fighter had already advanced to the late stage of the manifestation realm, the trauma that Qin Hao had left in his heart was still so deep that it could not be erased. Especially since Qin Hao's aura was clearly at the Blessed Realm. Qin Hao. The number 1 person among the younger generation of the immortal Dao in the East Continent, Qin Hao? Kid, I did not expect you to come back. The heavens have eyes. The Yuan Gate, the Sky Sword sect and the Floating Mist sect are where they are today because of you. When the Yuan Gate sect master saw Qin Hao, he could not help but laugh maniacally. Brother Imo, this kid is a disciple of the star-picking sect. Please don't kill him. I have to thank him properly. If I don't make him suffer a fate worse than death, I will not be able to express my gratitude. Frem. Without any warning, Mo Wuxin let out a furious roar and directly sent the Yuan Gate sect master, who had jumped in front of him roaring, flying with a kick. He stared fixedly at Qin Hao and said, "You're actually not dead? How can I die if I don't send you to the Western Paradise?" Qin Hao stared coldly at Soul Fighter and said, "The contract has been signed. Do you want to come at me one by one or all at once? It's up to you. Don't try to run away. I can kill you like killing a chicken here. No one can stop me." Boom. As he spoke, a terrifying aura suddenly exploded from Qin Hao's body. A monstrous battle intent and a sharp sword intent instantly swept across a radius of several thousand miles. At this moment, even a peak late-stage Blessed Realm expert felt his entire body turn cold, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.